Stay hot. Stay hot. The time is now. The lights are bright. Turning up the heat, doing it right. We're taking the stage. We're making a move. The energy's rising. We're in the groove. The mic's hot. Momentum strong. You're in the place where you belong. We're breaking boundaries. We're setting the pace. With Patrick Kelch leading the race. From the biggest headlines to the deepest dives. The Stay Hot podcast is going live. All right.
Welcome to the Stay Hot podcast. As always, I am your host, Patrick Kelch. Nice to have you guys joining me on this cool evening Friday night. Just sitting here watching the Indiana Fever make their comeback. Caitlin Clark's hit 3 straight threes in the fourth. Lost a double-digit lead in the first and just retook the lead. So, also watching the Reds, seeing them be up 3-1 in the seventh on the road is a change from what we've seen the last couple of weeks. And I feel like we've got some positive news in the Big Blue Nation the last couple of days. Not just with recruiting, but some other things as well from previous players. And we're going to talk about it all tonight. You know, it's a Friday night. Most of us don't have work tomorrow, I hope. And I do, however, have to get up early for a fundraiser for my basketball team. But, you know, I'm going to make that happen. But thank you guys for joining me. Already got quite a few people in here. That's a nice welcome addition. Hopefully we can start this weekend off by staying hot. Also, like to thank you guys for the continued support. And I've told you all multiple times, the best way you can support the channel and me is to continue to show up night in and night out. And most of you do that. So a lot of the names I see in the chat are familiar names. Hopefully we continue to get out there and continue to reach new people, new members of Big Blue Nation. More importantly, new positive members of Big Blue Nation. So with that being said, thank you guys for being here tonight. And thank you for your continued support. As always, if you are new here, let's get this out of the way. Go ahead, like and subscribe. I think I'm currently sitting at 625 subscribers, so we're on our way to 1,000 subscribers. We picked up quite a few members last show. I think we picked up like 12 or 13 members. Somebody asked me if we got 1,000 members, if I would join the Redneck Brawl, and the answer is yes. But it takes 1,000 members. Right now, I think we're right at 15, so y'all got a long ways to go for that. But we'll talk more about that stuff after we get our normal topics out of the way. We tend to stay on for an hour or so afterwards to talk about just random topics, because that's just what we do and that's just what the channel enjoys. So as always, appreciate you guys. First, former University of Kentucky basketball player Marquise Estel. He'll be joining Sean Smith's staff at Douglas next year as an assistant coach. As you all know, Sean Smith is part of the Sources Say podcast with Jack Pilgrim. I'm excited for Sean and curious to can't wait to follow him to see how some of the offensive mastermind that he is, see how that translate over to the high school level. He's a great follow, on the Sources Say podcast when they're breaking down the offenses and just different sets and execution, timing, things like that. So congratulations to Marquise Estel and Coach Sean Smith on the addition. Also, those of you that have been paying close attention to the NBA Combine, what about Ortega Owe? I think from what I saw in the latest mock draft, he's improved his stock some. He, I think one of the last few mock drafts I saw, he's like in the 50s. The most recent one, or the latest one I've seen, had him 49th to the Nuggets. So he had a really good, I think, 2 scrimmages in the 5-on-5 portion. I don't think they play a whole lot, but he had 2 games. He averaged 20.5 points. I think he had 21 game and 21 the next. He shot 50% from the field. He shot 14 of 18 from the free throw line, which are all positives. But the one area I think he needs to show that he can shoot is the 3-point, which we know from being at Kentucky the last couple of years, his 3-point shot was inconsistent at times. And, just with the hitch in his form and stuff, sometimes it may be a little tough to be consistent, but he only shot 1 of 8 in those 2 scrimmages. I think he was 1 of 3 and 0 of 5. So, but the good thing is, his poor shooting from the perimeter did not, I don't want to say did not impact him, but didn't kind of, I guess, prevent him from still playing and still contributed on both ends. And because I think he has a really, really good chance to be that 2-way player in the NBA. He can penetrate, he can finish with he can finish with contact, as he loves to attack the basket kind of with, ferocity. Just he's one of those guys that when he's going to the rim and gets downhill, he's going to punish you. But, he has showed 14 of 18 for the free throw line. So when he does get to the line, he is knocking them down. So hopefully this 5-on-5 portion of Owe has really helped him move up far enough to where he's a kind of a, I guess, guaranteed second-round pick. There were times last year where, it was talked about that he could go undrafted. So hopefully Owe has worked his way into, I guess, I don't want to say draft contention, but worked his way into maybe a guaranteed second-round pick, which isn't guaranteed money, I don't think, but at least, maybe get him on a roster or get him an invite to camp and let him play in the summer league and continue to try to improve his game to where he can help an NBA roster. Also, another name from the past started resurfacing here in the last couple of days after we talked about our last show. We talked about Malachi Moreno and how he opted out of the 5v5 portion of the combine because he feels very solid at his spot, at his position. He feels very solid at, kind of where he could be drafted at. But Michael Ruzic, the guy that we talked about a while ago, and kind of didn't hear nothing about him for a while because I think that's when we kind of, talked about Moreno. Then we also got the commitment of Frank Cagnong, Capnong. And but it was said when we first started hearing all these rumors about him in the beginning, it was kind of like he was a strong, heavy lean to BYU. There's been rumors surfacing lately that Kentucky could have possibly have flipped him to where they now lead for him. I think he's only a backup option if Moreno stays in the draft. I'm not 100% sure that I don't think they'll sign him and keep Moreno. But, I could be wrong. But we'll talk about more Malachi. It was more for me to, that Rujic name we talked about a couple shows ago. Then it was off the radar. Kind of didn't hear nothing about him. Heard he was going to be almost kind of a lock to BYU, but kind of hearing now that may not be the case. Some interesting news came out this evening about Ryan Hampton. If you remember, Ryan Hampton's the five-star guard from the class of 27 who is a reclass option. Pope, Mikel McLean, and Cody Feger are all in Memphis this weekend, and they're watching everybody. I've kind of kept up with them on Twitter. It would take us 6 hours to list every name that they've watched and every name that's kind of on their radar for the 27, 28, 29 classes. But they're watching a little bit of everybody as they're in Memphis this weekend. But they also got a chance to watch Ryan Hampton. And I believe that Hampton, trying to think, he had a pretty good game in the game they watched, but they also talked to his dad afterwards, Rod Hampton, who is the father of Ryan Hampton and also RJ Hampton. I don't know if you're all aware, most of you probably are, that Ryan Hampton is the little brother of RJ Hampton that played at Duke, who's currently in the NBA. But I thought this comment was interesting this was a comment from Rod, who is Ryan's father. He says, I think Kentucky, and it may sound crazy, is underrated. If you look at their team last year, everybody was hurt. Pope knows what he's doing. I like the resurgence of Kentucky. I like it. Hampton said, we'll just have to see. They got to pick from the portal a lot this year. Once the dust settles, he can insert a few freshmen. You're not going to have a team with 5 freshmen, but give me 2 juniors, a senior, 1 sophomore, and a freshman. They're going to compete, especially with the freshmen who can contribute. If money is going to be a factor, which school is offering him the most money? KSR asked Hampton. Among the schools involved, which one has the highest NL offer? Think about it, Rod said. So I think those were kind of a breath of fresh air, hearing that kind of comment from a father, when we've heard so much negative about players and parents and their conversations about Kentucky, and not necessarily just all Kentucky, but Pope. And it's nice to see here that, this guy here has a little bit of confidence in Pope. He's got a little bit of faith in Pope. He likes what he does. He likes his system. And I think he basically said there at the end that Kentucky has got the highest offer. Let me go back through some of these comments here. All right. Shane, thanks for being here. Christopher Perry says, one of my favorites. I appreciate you, my man. Holly, happy Friday. I'm kind of shocked to see you, Holly. I thought you may be at TGI Fridays throwing back shots with your besties. I was waiting for Crash to come here and say that, but that's right. I'm on the way to 1K. Hey, I ain't got no quit in me. I don't have any quit in me. Greg Butler says, I told him we have plays designed to get you wide open. Milan shoots over 40% for 3-point land. Got to go. Preakness, good luck with your funner. Thanks, my man. Appreciate you. Yeah, I know. He's going to be at Frederick Douglass. That's awesome. And kudos to Sean for getting him on staff. Jake, how are you? What's up, my man? Thanks for being here. I'll address that here in a second. Travis, my man, hope Moreno comes back, but it's not looking good, but wishing the best either way. If you're new here, Travis, give us a like and subscribe, my man. I definitely think things are moving kind of fast with Moreno. I'll go over some stuff that I know and I've heard, and kind of go from there. But we already got close to 50 people in here. Get in this chat, guys. If you're in here, get in this chat. We want to hear from everybody. Everybody's opinion matters. We don't want to just hear from one or two. But it's kind of, I think Chris set up here. No, I don't. No, I don't think it's to drive prices up. I think Momcilovic is going to get what he desires from whoever he decides to go to. I don't think the prices need to be driven up. If he wants 7 million, I think he's gonna get 7 million. If he wants 5 million, he's gonna get 5 million. But there are a few things about that interview that kind of concern me with Momcilovic. Of course, the positives are, Kentucky's going to be in the mix. Even after yesterday, where Jeff Goodman said on his show that's come down to St. John's and Louisville. And I saw a lot of Kentucky people react to Jeff Goodman's video, tweet, words, whatever. And I'm guilty of this as well with him. Whenever he does this kind of stuff, we almost have to avoid him. Okay. We almost have, man, I got chili. I had a bowl of chili and I got a chili mustache, and saving it for later. But we got to quit giving him what he wants, and that's basically attention and clicks. I'd seen too much from too many different people saying that Kentucky was going to be in the mix. Mommy's camp has even confirmed that Kentucky will be one of the teams that he talks to. So that's the stuff and somebody said it earlier, and I can't remember exactly who it was. It was a Kentucky fan. I'm not so sure it was a Kentucky media personnel or anything, but somebody said that there's so much in Kentucky intel out there, it's kind of hard to know what to believe and what not. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. It is kind of hard to determine what it is you're going to believe and what you're not going to believe. We're hoping that, I don't think we don't need to have the mindset that, everybody puts Kentucky in their final 2 or 3 to drive the prices up, especially with somebody like Mommy. He's made it clear that Kentucky will get an opportunity, or they'll be in the mix. But, we know, or we've kind of gathered that Kentucky has quite a bit of money to offer. Kentucky's able to offer the most if that's what he's looking for. And, I think he made it clear early on that he wasn't just going to go to the person or the team that offered the most money. But that kind of got me thinking, what if he can go to a school that can offer him the most money? I can't stand looking at that chili. All right, I should have washed my mouth. That's fine. I'm a slob. But what happens if he can go to a school that can not only offer him the most money, but it's also a good fit, and he can get the best of both worlds like that at Kentucky? I truly believe. One, I know Kentucky has the money to offer, and two, we didn't need Milan to say that he feels like Pope's system's a good fit, that he can do a lot of good for Pope and Pope can do a lot of good for him. I don't think we needed to hear that from him to know that he fits well into Pope's system. And so, with him, it's going to come down, more than likely, from what I gathered, it's going to come down to Kentucky and Louisville, I'm afraid. I don't know, with the offseason that we've had, if Pope can handle losing out on him to Louisville. Shout out Pepsi. But, a lot of people are saying, well, Louisville's already loaded. Louisville's already spent a ton of money. Louisville's already got a loaded roster. Okay, both of those can be true, but Louisville's going to have a spot for Momcilovic, as is every team in the country. If he goes to Louisville, that just means somebody else is probably just going to go to the bench, and their minutes are going to be cut a little bit. And, I don't think Kelsey or the coaching staff generally cares about that, just from the simple fact that his job is to win. And now, if it's somebody like Carter Knox that goes to the bench who doesn't, who loses minutes, if they get Momcilovic, that just means he's probably going to be there a year and he's probably going to transfer. And that's something that, the teams are just going to have to be cognizant of now. But just because Louisville spent a lot of money thus far, just because they already have a loaded roster, don't count them out. Don't feel like, well, there's no way that Louisville can offer them. There's just no way. They've already spent too much. They've made it clear that they have no limit. They're going to go out and spend the most money they can to get the best roster they can, or the best roster that they can assemble. And I think I said it on one of these shows maybe the last show. I'd read or listened to somebody from Louisville say that they felt like Louisville was going to give him everything he needed this year, resources, money, players, whatever they could get him this year. And if he's still not able to make anything happen with that roster, then they realize that he's probably not the man for the job. So I'm not so sure there's much correlation, other than the fact that, Momcilovic said he did want to play for a contender. Obviously, if we lose out on Moreno, it does hurt our roster chances of contention. However, I've seen several names I've seen Huendo. I've seen his name resurface, which if we were to miss out on Momcilovic or lose Moreno, Huendo would be a guy that I'd want. We watched his highlights one night. The kid's a superb athlete. Just, he's the one that likes just an athlete that punishes the rim like all those guys do. So, there's still some options out there, obviously, with Momcilovic being with him being the second rated transfer portal guy. And we know what he can do. He scored 20 on us in the NCAA tournament. We've seen his ability to shoot the ball. We know what he can do. And being a proven NCAA player right now kind of makes me think that, I'd rather have him now than, if it comes down between him and Hampton, or if Hampton's the option, if we don't get Mommy or whatever, I'd much rather have a proven player from the portal. But, if we can guarantee to get Hampton a couple years to where a 5-star guard has the ability to develop with our coaching staff, especially with like a Mo Williams or, something like that, working with the guards, and I'd love to have Hampton. I'm still I honestly still think that Moreno is coming back, and I'll talk about that here in a second. Rage Baiter, I'm not so sure who Holly's talking about, but I'd almost bet Jeff Goodman. And he may. I just don't know why, where he's projected right now, why he would stay in the NBA and sit the bench all year and play in the G League, but that's just me. Right. I like the way you're thinking, Peanut. Yes, they are. They are claiming that. I figured you was talking about Goodman. I'm a little behind on the chat, as you can see. Travis, he's not coming off the bench. He's not coming off the bench. No way, shape, no way in hell. That's more likely to happen. Brad, if you're new here, give us a like and subscribe. Same thing, Kevin, or anybody else that's new here, like and subscribe. They got they have no ceiling. I mean, they're going all out. They're going to spend whatever they can, and somebody there. Hell, Papa John may be passing it out. See you, Peanut. We'll be here, brother. The Russian, is that Fursov or whatever. I think he averages 10 points a game, 6'10" or 11, 250, big body. Yeah, I mean, but all these guys they're contacting at the center position now need to be aware that, all these guys that they're contacting are basically options if Moreno doesn't come back. That's for them to figure out. Hopefully getting too many people, kind of like what Pope last year, got all kinds of pieces and stuff, but none of them fit together. That wouldn't hurt my feelings one bit if that's the same trouble that Louisville has this year. Just going out and getting all the best players the money can buy, and then having no, not really understanding how they fit together, if they really do fit together. So, with that being said, I'm still leaning Moreno to come back. And, if we lose out on Momcilovic to Louisville, so be it. We do have some other options, none that I think are as good as Momcilovic. But I'm not ready to throw the towel in there yet either. No, I mean, I'm glad you feel that way. I really do. I think it's pretty well set in stone that he's coming back to college. I shouldn't say pretty well set in stone, but what I will say is that everybody that I've talked to or seen, national guys or whatever, have all recommended that, Milan Momcilovic comes back to college. But that's just what they're recommending. It doesn't mean that's what he'll do. And, it couldn't happen to a better guy, Chris. Couldn't happen to a better guy. But, just some updated information on Moreno. We know that he opted out of the 5-on-5. We talked about why that happens. It happens because they feel pretty safe and secure at where they're at, or where they're being told they're at. And they don't feel like that the 5-on-5 portion can improve their draft stock enough to play to where it can take them from mid first round to lottery, or, middle second round to late first round. So they don't necessarily think that it's going to improve their stock enough to participate in it, and no sense of risking an injury, but what it could do is it could hurt their stock enough to where they go from late first round into the second round. So, Moreno did opt out. We do know that, I think we all saw clips, or if we didn't see clips, we read or heard about. He's already worked out with the Knicks, had a pretty good workout with the Knicks. That's the day that he shot the ball real well from the perimeter. He made 8 straight threes from the corner. But he also has workouts scheduled with the following teams. He's got workouts scheduled with the Lakers, and the Lakers picked 25th. He's got a workout scheduled with the Clippers. They pick 36th and 52nd. Both of those in the second round. He's got workout with the Heat. The Heat pick 13th. They're not drafting Moreno in the lottery. And they also pick 41st, which is also second round. He's got a workout schedule with the Mavs, which they pick 30th and 48th. And then he's also met with the Trailblazers and Celtics. Okay. So he's talked with a lot of teams. He's worked out with a few. He's got a few more to work out with. This is all part of the process that he wanted to go through. This is something we have to understand, and, don't necessarily mean we have to like it, but we're going to have to be patient with it. He's probably not going to either let us know he's staying in or opting out until around the 27th. I think if he knows early, he will announce early, just out of respect for Pope in Kentucky, because the earlier he announces he's staying in, that gives Kentucky a little bit more time to find somebody before everybody else is off the board, maybe. But with Moreno, the latest mock draft, and this was, sometime late morning today that I saw. I didn't get a check after that because I had work and then I had some things to do after school and before I came on here. So I haven't really got to check the latest mock draft. But the most recent one I seen was earlier today, and it had him 29th to Cleveland. Now, 29th to Cleveland obviously is the first round. It's late first round still. It's not, I don't think it's as high as what people thought, what his camp had hoped. I can't speak for the Morenos. I can't speak for anybody else, but I'm just going to say that with it being the 29th, I just don't know if that's enough to stay in the draft. I really don't. Caitlin Clark may have just hit her fifth or sixth three of the fourth quarter to send it 89-89 with 2 seconds to go, about ready to go to overtime. So if you want to turn on the fever, you might get to see they were down as many as 10 points here in the fourth. But so I guess the question we have to ask is 29th overall good enough for Moreno to stay in the draft? You talking about Badunga? If you're talking about Badunga, then I mean he's at Louisville now, so that may be why Louisville still. The Mystics just hit a half-court shot at the buzzer, but they're going to review it. It looked like it may have been a little late. It would have been Sonia Citron. No, come on. Oh no, it's seconds late. It's still in her hand. But and I will tell you this, kind of the way I thought. I need to go back and look in the chat because I was looking in my notes. I haven't really kept up with the chat, but it would kind of be just kind of the fitting into the off season with the type of off season that Kentucky's had for Moreno to stay in the draft and Momcilovic to go to Louisville. But I'm not a negative thinker on the here, so I'm not going to think that way. But I know that that's going through a lot of people's mind. I've seen it in my group chat that I'm in today. I mean, can't keep getting my hopes up. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. What's up, Icon? What's up? I'm over the whole Willie stay or go BS. Changes every hour. Swear it does. Good grief. And that's true. And I saw somebody say something today that I guess, since they're so invested now in Momcilovic and Moreno, that once those two guys announce, they're not worrying about any other recruiting news or anything or any Kentucky basketball news until the season starts. And I'm sitting here saying that, that may not be a bad approach to take, just for the simple fact that it seems like you said every hour you're hearing something from somebody different about either Moreno or Momcilovic that either fits the narrative that you want or is totally opposite of the narrative that you want. But it's just absolutely exhausting. It's absolutely like, it just makes your mind hurt. Just mental fatigue that, Jeff Goodman puts that out there about St. John's and Louisville are going to be battling over, Momcilovic, and then people immediately react to it, start clicking on it, start clicking on his tweet, cussing him out, going at him for whatever reason. And it's kind of like, we give him what he wants when he does that. I'm going to make a concerted effort to either block Phil to 68, block Goodman, or just not respond to him whatsoever. Because I feel like a lot of the opinions he puts out regarding Kentucky are biased, and he does it just to infuriate Big Blue Nation because he knows that we're going to react. So let's not give him what he wants. They have till the 27th, Chris. I don't know if they'll take the 27th, but they have to the 27th. The end of next week's the 22nd. So let's hope. Let's hope. That's exactly right. It will continue to change. And just like I mentioned earlier, some of you may not have been on here, but just like I mentioned earlier, it seems to me like, and some guy said, and I'm going to kind of reiterate it, that there's so many people out there putting out intel, not necessarily just Kentucky intel, but intel in general about the NBA draft combine, about intel about just other teams, Louisville, St. John's, Duke, whoever. And we don't know what's right, what's wrong. We don't know what's clickbait and what's not. So honestly, it'd probably best for us if we just don't pay it any mind when Goodman or some of those people put it out. Wow. I agree. That's what I said, May 27th. Pistons versus Cavs, Game 7 should be Sunday. Ooh, that'd be a good one. Pistons are number 1 seed, right? I'm a Celtics fan, so I've not watched any of that. He would make more money at Kentucky. Absolutely. And you know what? Moreno knows that. Momcilovic knows that. Momcilovic even made it out in his interview. One of the first things he said was, it's not going to be a money chase, or I'm not chasing money. I'm not going to the largest bidder just because of money. The fit is also important to me, which you would think that the fit being important to him would be good news for Kentucky. And, I know that he, he knows that. Fulgaris, in my opinion, snake oil shyster. He's kind of like the Wish or Timu version of Mommy. They're not the same player. They may play the same position, but they're not the same player, in my opinion. Just how I feel. I mean, I don't think you're going to turn down Momcilovic if he wants to come there. You're not turning him down. He's well, obviously, Pitino's got a better track record, a lot more experience, and a lot less whiffs. But I will say this: the interview that I read, or if you not just listen to the Momcilovic interview, but if you read some of the interview, it sounded like in the interview that St. John's was significantly farther behind Kentucky and Louisville. That's just what it sounds like to me. But you didn't really hear St. John's open much about you didn't hear St. John's open a lot about Freeman until they got in the mix. And when they got in the mix, it was signed, sealed, delivered. Those of you that are Reds fans, the Reds were up 6-1 going into the bottom of the 8th, and they've walked in 2 runs and given up one on a single and one on a sacrifice fly. So it seems like the bullpen's doing a hell of a job of doing what they do. Let me see who the pitcher was before we go on. What Reds pitcher continues to walk run? Graham Ashcraft has all 4 earned runs. Honest question. If you tell me that it's between St. John's and Kentucky and they've both offered the same amount, then obviously my money's on Pitino. I think you'd be crazy. You'd be crazy to bet against him. Pope's still yet to convince us that, he's yet to convince us that he can lock down this big name superstar. And, I think he has a really good chance at Ryan Hampton, who's a 5-star guard out of high school. I'm not 100% sure that I would consider him a superstar just yet, but I don't know. I mean, but Pitino, obviously, I would, if it come down to it and it was just those two, and I don't think that's a question. Do you realize how many misses other coaches have had this year, but they only politicize Popes for some reason? Getting stupid micro focusing on Kentucky media is pathetic. That's because Kentucky moves the needle. You put out something written or a view or a video, I mean, looking for a view, and you mentioned Kentucky, or you mentioned Pope or whatever, they know that Big Blue Nation is probably going to click that link and probably going to read it, then probably going to respond to them. And when they get monetized through Twitter, a lot of the money they get is through the engagements on their like their tweet, like the interactions with their tweet, the engagements, the clicks, the things like that. It's not necessarily, you know, going into the link itself and reading the article. It's just the engagements on their tweet. And every time they do something like that, Kentucky gives them what they want. That's true. That's true. Go Reds. With top the ninth, they did maintain their 6-5 lead, but they were up 6-1. Kel, what's up, my man? Thanks for being here. I'd put money on Patino because he's tenured, and Momcilovic wants a guy that can raise his stock. But that's true. He did mention he wants a guy that can help him in the league, and Patino definitely has that experience. And but you know, if I'm Pope, I would probably mention to Momcilovic, you know, hey, look, Moreno was a 4-star when he came to Kentucky. Now he's a first-round draft pick. You know, what we do here works as far as development. So, you know, it's Louisville or Kentucky. I agree. Anthony. And, you know, that's not a bad get. It's not a bad get. You know, don't by any stretch of the imagination think that, oh, we had to settle for Ryan Hampton. He's a 5-star guard. You know, it's not like he doesn't. Now, he may not be able to help us right now the way that Momcilovic could, but, you know, it's not a bad get. And I think that has a lot to do with it, but also know this, and I'm a firm believer that not everybody that doesn't choose Kentucky is a whiff or a miss. Just because Kentucky reached out and Zoomed with them, and that's the last contact they had, they end up going somewhere else. That's not a whiff. But, you know, I don't want to talk about that because, you know, every coach in the country is going to whiff on players. We only hear about Kentucky because that's the team, the media, you know, that's who we follow. We've talked about that, Kel, every week. Captain Crash here, my man. Good seeing you. Don't tell them that, Crash. Don't tell them that. They think they got a legit chance. Some people think they're the favorite. Yeah, I mean, I don't see it as much from Paycheck, but I know Dahl says it a lot. You know, when I watch Locked On Kentucky, he says it a lot. Yeah, we've talked about this, you know, every week. You know, he put together a 4-man managerial team with, you know, all 4 people doing, you know, some different role that a GM could do. Shoot, get him on here and we'll talk to him. Get him on here. You know, and like we said, like earlier, we talked about just nobody's going to turn down a Momcilovic, but I just don't know. I just don't know that he fits with what Louisville's got and what they're doing, but nobody's going to turn him down. And if he were to say he wanted to go to Louisville, Kelsey would take him. And if that meant Carter Knox or somebody else was riding the pine, they're not going to take Momcilovic to sit him on the bench like somebody said a while ago. Somebody said that if he went to Louisville, he'd be on the bench. That's not happening. The one thing I did like, the one thing I do like is how, Momcilovic did say that he wasn't going to money hunt. It doesn't matter who offers him the most money. He also wants to look at the team that's, the best fit for him and, helping him get to the next level. But I think Kentucky's a school that can give him both a lot of money and a good fit. So we'll just see. Where'd you post it at? Yeah. He's been kind of a little frustrating to me, but I watch him some. But he couldn't hit the portal this year, could he? Could he go ahead and do that? I just don't see that happening. I could be wrong, but right. So he would have to basically suck it up this year and there's no link coming through, Icon. There's no link coming through on my screen here. So if it's a Locked On Kentucky, I'll go look at it. I can look at it from somewhere. He did, but I don't think that's any huge news. We've talked about that for 3 weeks here and how he'd be a good fit. But how many other players have we thought would be good fits too that still spurned Kentucky? So possibly, and yeah, that's a little bit different than and that's just the world we're in. That if you're going to a school and you get recruited over, you just transfer. And that's what's going to happen. It's going to happen every single off season. Lance yo-yos, he gets frustrated, and a couple days later talks himself into getting excited again. Yeah, that's the thing I've noticed. I've not been on him long, but I've watched enough of his shows that you can tell after a miss or a recruiting thing that doesn't go our way, you can kind of tell that he gets frustrated. It's just, but I think when we all do that, it's because we're truly a fan, and when you put on your own channel like this, like I do, or like, I'm not so sure Locked On Kentucky if Lance works for somebody else, if he's the sole owner of Locked On Kentucky, or if he works for somebody, I don't know, but that's the one thing about when you have your own channel, own show, and you control everything you do with it. You can be a fan that's biased. Sometimes some of these other media people have to try to hide those biases. He works for someone else. That's what I kind of gathered. It's like this. I would like Milan, but it's not the end of the world for us. Y'all need him. And that's true. I mean, that's true. Louisville's roster is already pretty well set. Especially, I've seen some rumblings that Badunga might stay in the draft. I don't think he does. I think he comes back to Louisville. So, but I kind of gather that because I've seen some other locked on stuff. Okay. I think you and about probably a lot of other different people would contribute to that as well. But, if you watched his interview and you watched him, or if you read the interview that he did with the Herald Leader, I think it was Ben Roberts. Honestly, I kind of got kind of UK good vibes too. But I'm also, like somebody mentioned earlier, I also don't want to get my hopes up. But then again, if we think about it, it's kind of like with everything that's happened this off season, it's almost kind of like you don't expect any good news or anything good to happen because there's been too many opportunities for us to lock in, or and I constantly go back to waiting on the Stokes. So, I said 2 weeks ago that this Momcilovic situation cannot be another Tyron Stokes. We can't miss out on others wanting to come here just simply because because we waited and we thought we had a good chance to get him, as Pope said. Well, we thought we had a good chance. Anthony, I'm glad you're here, brother. I'm glad you're here, man. And I'm you know what, Holly, in all honesty, I was kind of shocked that Badunga even entered the portal. I thought he would just go straight draft from Kansas, but I guess it's still a nice option to have if you're not 100% sure that the draft's going to work out, or you're going to be drafted in a position you feel like is worthy of your value, or but all right. Mystics beat the Fever at Indiana. I'm not so sure that Caitlin Clark got a single shot in overtime that I remember seeing. They got beat 104-102, and I just don't. I mean, after hitting 5 or 6 threes in the fourth quarter, I just don't think she got the ball enough in overtime. Or, but with that being said, Fever dropped to 1-2, and Stephanie White may be coaching. They got one of the best rosters in the WNBA, so she may be. She made a few bad coaching decisions early on, but has he posted it on Twitter? Where can I find it, Icon? Just tell me where to find it. No links coming through. Crash, I'm kind of shocked that Holly's not at the local TGIF throwing back shots tonight with her besties. I kind of thought that's where she'd be tonight. I'm glad to have her here. I'm glad she's here. We always welcome her on the Stay Hot podcast, but we know what she likes to do. We know she likes to throw back those shots. Reds are up 7-5. Blade got an RBI. However, one out in the ninth. Guardian just had somebody triple, so they got a man on third with one out. $100%. Was that Drake that said that, Clyde? Was that Drake? That's funny. Holly's not a whiskey and bourbon shots, I don't think. Got to put Facebook. Don't. Is your Facebook icon bad, GTA? But it's just I don't want. I know. I don't want to just get my mindset on. I felt like a lot of things were positive in the interview with Momcilovic, but I don't want to get dead set on thinking that he's coming here because I've already done that and I'm not doing that anymore. But some of the quotes that I was sitting here looking at this interview with Momcilovic. He says, but I think if I were to choose Kentucky, that would be a great fit for me. I feel like I'd be a great player for him and he'd be a good coach for me. He'd be a great player for Pope, but Pope would be a good coach for him. Fit is the most important to him. Says he will not money hunt. Well, like I said before, I think I know a place where the fit is fine and he can also money hunt and he can get them both in the same spot. But he did say that his primary focus was still on the NBA draft and that anybody that's talked to any colleges has been basically his agents or his team. Hasn't been him. And right now, the most recent mock draft that I've seen has him 40th to Boston, which me being a Celtics fan, I'd be completely okay with it. Yeah. And, the one thing I was looking at earlier, somebody put on Twitter that trying to think basically they put the the portal rankings of the players that we got with the players that left. They had McBride in like north of 200 in the rankings. He's better than that. That's why I'm not losing any kind of I'm not getting too discouraged yet because those rankings are so off. And I really like our roster right now. I would like to get Moreno back, but without Momcilovic and say we get Hampton or, I've recently, like I told you all, I've recently saw Huendo, his name resurfaced again. We could possibly land him if, the Russian center, Fursov or Surfa or something. There's a lot of options out there. I'm not saying those options are as good as Momcilovic, but if we find the right pieces to fit our roster, and we're going to be fine. So, like I said, me being a Kentucky fan, obviously I want the best possible roster that we can get. Marino's not top 15. The last mock draft had him 29th to Cleveland. I think it's possible he could move up from there, but I think it's possible he could move up some from 29th, but I don't see him getting all the way to 15. I mean, he's not going to be a lottery pick. Yeah, we talked about this a little bit earlier, Crash. He's still out there. There's even some speculation out there, maybe even not speculation, maybe facts that let me turn off my TV here so I'm not that Kentucky's even potentially past BYU in, that's in the lead for him. And I was just thinking that he's more like an insurance policy if Moreno decides to go. We can't turn this Momcilovic into a clown show. I felt like we looked like a bunch of clowns. Everybody but our staff seemed to think we had no chance at Stokes, which we really didn't. But the ones who matter thought we still had a chance. I thought it made us look like clowns. I'm not going to lie. Interesting analogy. I like it. Right. And they are. But, so much stock is put into them, the rankings, but you're right. They don't mean anything. It's just like preseason rankings for teams. All that is a talking point. All that is a discussion piece. All that is for clicks. I think, was it last year? Kentucky was like, what, number 2 or 3 preseason, maybe 9, somewhere in there. I think it's I think that's an acceptable belief. I mean, I do too. And if you were on here when I showed Ryan Hampton's dad's quotes, he pretty well said it too, that he feels like people are sleeping on him. He really likes the roster. He likes the resurgence of Kentucky, were his exact words. Yeah, I mean 24th. I don't think he goes that high. The last one I saw had the Knicks taking somebody else at 24th. I can't remember who, but I don't think he gets that high, but maybe he does. Depends on how the rest of his workouts go. From the sound of social media, Crash, it seems like seems like they've reached back out to him. Correct. He was, I don't remember his exact numbers, but he was really low. And coming from a very small school as well. No, and we can throw out 100 different answers and just go into full speculation mode and sit there and go through every possible scenario. And eventually, he's not nowhere near the level of athlete acquaintance is. But what I'm just saying is, I think it's very apparent that Moreno definitely has an NBA future. I think he's already got an NBA body. And I think he's going to continue to develop. He's going to turn into a very, very good professional basketball player. But I don't think it will destroy his career. But I just think he'd much rather play college basketball and make a little bit more money than to sit on the end of the bench for a playoff team and then spend most of his year in the G League. I think destroy his career is a little overreaction. And the Knicks have, I think they have 2 first-round picks, don't they? Or do they only have 1 pick in the whole draft? Don't remember. It's all right to shoot for the best, Kel. It's not all right to shoot, miss, continue to rebound, and throw it back to him 15 times. You got to move on eventually. Yeah, and it's I hate to say it, but injuries played a huge role in that. Yeah, right. I totally agree. Like I said, if you get on social media right now, you can find 35 different perspectives on the same topic from 35 different people. I felt like Louisville had a much better regular season. May not have equated into much, but they also, I mean, you got to think about it. When Mikael Brown went down, that's a big piece. You know, you had critical injuries like we had. Ridiculous. That's a ridiculous take. I don't think I've seen any parentheses from Icon. I don't know. Oh, yeah. Okay. I see it now. My bad. You all must see this guy in another chat room or something or another show. I don't know if I've ever seen him before, but I don't agree with that take, so to speak. But it's okay. He's allowed to have a different opinion. I think so. I I don't think there's any question about that. Yeah, I'm agreeing with that. Um, yeah, I watched that video and he was definitely manhandling Shellstad from what I could tell. Um, if you notice, Icon on the video, I saw it on Twitter, and it seems like once that matchup happened, he took him to the post and just kind of bullied him down low. Y'all call me. I told you from day one I liked you, Anthony. Dude, tell me you don't know ball without telling me you don't know ball. Yeah, I like Anthony. Anthony's all right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know the purpose of just doesn't saying that this roster couldn't compete with mid majors is just nothing realistic or true about that whatsoever. Nothing whatsoever. Let me go back here and yeah, I agreed. I said you must you must include both, but you can't hang on like the ex-girlfriend. Diallo is a big physical guard, and I think that's what his strengths are. Take over, Felix. Go Cards. I'm not going to say go Cards. I will welcome you here and welcome you back anytime. And glad you're here. And give me a like and a subscribe. My brother's a Cards fan, but I appreciate your perspectives. As long as your takes aren't as ignorant as some of the others I've seen in here. I'm just not going to. I'm just not going to. I should say. Some are. I'm looking for that. You're always welcome, Felix. Always welcome. I'd like to ask Louisville fans what they think about the possibility of moving the UK-UL football game to the beginning of the year. Didn't it always used to be like Labor Day weekend? Anthony shouting out Felix. No one criticizes UK more than their own fan base, but zero, you have loser mentality following around a team you aren't a fan of to make bum comments. How many of us think you following U of L? And I like that. Yeah, true. Yeah, this guy's just he's a I bet he's a real fun guy to hang out with. Both teams, with being the first game of the year, though, the only thing is that both teams aren't at their best, which may benefit Kentucky. I don't know, but Kentucky's actually killing it in the portal right now. Stein's doing a heck of a job. So, hey Elliot, what's up? Thanks for coming by. Thanks for being here. If you're new, please give me a like and subscribe. Appreciate you coming by. The thing that bothers me most about Wilkins, and it's not him, it's our fans. There's people out there putting starting lineups together with Wilkins not being included. That annoys me. Valid point. Valid point. What week would that be? Would that still be considered early? I thought the season started in August. Or is it the first week in September? That would still be, that'd be close to the middle of the season, wouldn't it? That wouldn't be in the beginning. I banned him. Yeah. He didn't come in here with anything. He tried to be a UK, says he's a UK fan. He's just realist. He didn't say one positive thing about Kentucky. Duke, I don't know if it's a Duke fan, but he's definitely not a Kentucky fan. Yeah, and that's just, you're going to have that. That's only the second person I've ever had to block, so I've been kind of fortunate and lucky. But somebody's alarm was going off outside. I thought it was mine there for a minute. I had to pay attention. I'm like, who's messing with my car? I just can't imagine the enjoyment, honestly, of going into multiple people's live streams just to be negative or be the Debbie Downer. And, I'm sure if he's doing that in this one, he's doing that in every other UK stream as well. Have you all seen him and others? Do you all recognize his name? Um, 20 to 25 points per game. That'll be a lot. I don't know. Kentucky very rarely gets those guys that score 20, 25 a game because it's spaced out. We've got a lot of other options, but I'll be honest with you. I'm not 100% sure he gets a 20 and 25, but I think he'll be our leading scorer. 20 to 25 is a lot. Dude comments on every show. Good. Glad we got him out of here then. told us what about Moreno? Has he made an announcement that he's staying in? Yeah, Chris, I'll be honest with you. I was going to let it go for a while, but he didn't change his tune, and he just kept every time somebody said something, I didn't even highlight a lot of the stuff he said, but he constantly had something negative to say to everybody. That is true. Oh yeah, if he truly is, he will. It's Chris Adams undercover. He's trying to get top on doing a real. I don't know if it's Chris Adams undercover or not, but I've been seeing Chris Adams pop up on my Facebook, and I never heard of the man till you all brought him up. This has been a normal recruiting cycle. We have lost our swag and have started begging. It's all in the cycle. I was really hoping we were starting to get our swag back. That's class. I've still not seen anything that's saying that. I've still not seen anything saying I think he's going to play the process out. So right now his mock is 29th. You think he stays in the draft if he's going to be selected 29th? There is no way he stays in the draft if he's getting picked 29th. Just got here. Have you heard anything more about adding Jamal Crawford to the staff, or was that just contingent? I don't know. I do know they have a spot open. I do know that they were front row and center to watch J.J. Crawford play today in Memphis at the AAU tournament. But I don't know how long they're going to wait. I think Jamal's made it known that he wasn't going to do anything until he was done with the NBA playoffs and covering his job. And I just don't know how long Kentucky will wait, but they still do have a position available, and I've not heard many other names mentioned for it. So I've not seen anything related to Crawford yet. I just know we were recruiting him. Noah's not even going to be in the rotation this year, in my opinion, Elliot. And that's just an opinion. I don't know that, but I don't think he did anything last year to prove. When he did get open looks, he didn't knock him down, and I just think in order for him to play, if he does get, the one thing that impressed me about him last year, I thought he rebounded really well for us for being kind of undersized. I thought he did get in there and beat and bang and battle and got some big rebounds for us. But, he is, his role for us has to be to knock down shots, help with the floor spacing, make it to where, the defense cannot help off him. And I think that's how most rational UK fans will be. He came to Kentucky as a 4-star big. I thought his season early on was a struggle. Couldn't catch the ball. He looked very weak. He worked hard on his game. He developed into a nice player by the end of the year. I thought he was a really, really nice player, had a really good freshman campaign for Kentucky. If he stays in the draft, then I'll be happy for him. But I just don't know why, even at 25, you're getting drafted by a playoff team, probably going to sit the bench, and you're going to spend your whole year in the G League. I just don't see where that's appealing. But, I mean, he's being projected at 29th. There's not much difference than 29th and 25th. Somebody was on here earlier saying Chip Rupp. Somebody watched an interview with Chip Rupp, and Chip Rupp says he talked to the Morinos and he's leaning staying in the draft. So I don't know if I believe Chip Rupp. That's true. I mean, and and I mentioned earlier that it's still obvious that when national media guys need clicks or need views, they go at Kentucky's throat because they know Kentucky still moves the needle. Who's he gonna play above, Paxton? Who's he gonna play above? I've not really heard Michael say a whole lot. If I got the open looks Noah did, you can bet your ass I'd knock him down. I think Noah had the yips. I just think it was a bad season overall. Hard to get in any kind of rhythm. Hard to get, the substitution stuff's made it hard. Things not going well. The fan base increasingly getting louder and more frustrated and annoyed. All that stuff puts pressure on a 20-year-old kid, and those shots, become alligator arms. They don't really, it's hard to make those. That's the way I feel, Crash. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I think he'd be a good addition to our staff and definitely help with the guard development. But I just don't know if Kentucky's going to wait around on him or if he even wants to be a coach. I mean, yep. Kentucky wins, you lose. Seems to think that the whole Crawford thing was just trying to entice Stokes, which I think initially that's probably what the purpose was. But also, not sure who else they're looking for that position. I'd like to know who you think he's going to play over. That's a valid point, Paxton. I give you that. That's a valid point. However, I'm hoping that he watched his sub patterns in the offseason too and have decided that in no way, shape, or form did his substitution patterns help his team in any game. Yeah, and that's another thing that I think benefits him coming back. The next year's draft class is nowhere near as an deep or as talented as the 26 class. So I think that's just another feather in the cap for Moreno to come back. Yeah, I'd kind of heard that too. I heard he was, and I'd heard he wasn't, but I still think he does have a profound influence on Malachi. They're pretty close. I know he's in Chicago with him and going through the whole process and kind of the whole experience with him. But yeah, I kind of heard that he wasn't his agent. I mean, I hope you're right, but I have no reason to believe that he's going to get a lot of minutes. Definitely minutes that matter. I just, Bride's just kind of hard to tell because you don't know if Momcilovic comes. I'm still seeing people think that Wilkins is coming off the bench. I don't see where that's going to happen in any lineup. No, I think he'll be a lottery pick next year if he comes back. I don't think he'll be a late lottery pick. I think he'll be up in the top 10. Valid. I think so. I do, but I mean, but at least we know what we're getting from Noah for the most part. I mean, he's had some good games. He's had some good moments where he shot the ball well. He rebounded well last year. He takes pride in putting on the blue and white jersey. Takes pride in being from Kentucky, representing the state. But the amount of talent, athleticism, the amount of talent and athleticism that we have right now. I don't think that he's in the top or in the rotation to get minutes. Let's hear it. Oh, it was all over social media, Crash. I don't think so either. I think he's going to be our leading scorer. I wish I knew. I wish that Twitter would put some kind of a what's it called when I guess I wish with AI or whatever, when you tweet something, if it's not factual, it just automatically deletes it. The mistake was asking Peanut to give his opinion on the Malachi Moreno theory. Oh, come on, Holly. Big Blue Nation illiterate? Come on. Not them. Yeah, they do. But, I mean, can you trust them? Williams' dad said on Loyal BBN show last night that his brother was not his agent and that he knew who his agent was. Yeah. What's up, Go KY Wildcats? If you're new here, give me a like and subscribe. Glad you came by. What's going to be the outcome? Just a prediction. Kentucky in the house. Prediction of what? What kind of outcome? I can see that, but nothing with it. Shocking, I know. Like vocal leader, captain leader, leading scorer? What do you mean? Moreno's coming back, if that's what you're asking. That's my prediction. I think the pros definitely outweigh the cons of coming back. I don't think it makes sense for him to go be a 25th pick and sit on the end of the bench of a playoff team and get bounced around the G League. And Moreno will be the vocal leader, the captain, the one everybody talks to or the one that kind of looks up to. But Alex Wilkins will be our leading scorer in my eyes. I just think the man, he's just a flat out scorer, knows how to put the ball in the basket. George S. Langberg, GSL. Yeah, GSL. That's right. I'd heard that. I'd read that somewhere. You're right. What is fair for the goose is gravy for the gander. Louisville and a bunch more. Better get ready to hear it no end when they lose each game they do this year. 20. Oh, they're pushing 30 million. The way Pope has moved in the portal tells me they didn't have the money they need, so Malachi agreed to take less, knowing the donors would come up with more if they had to. Pope was in on it. Not saying that's out from left field. Milan says that he wasn't chasing money. He wouldn't necessarily go to the highest bidder. So basically, I think it's going to come down to he's going to go wherever he wants. It doesn't really, the money's not going to be a factor. I agree. Makes sense. If he gets drafted at all, he's going mid, late second round. He's not going high. What do you consider high? He's going mid, late second round. He's projected 49th, I think, in the latest mock draft. I kind of, don't worry about it. I'll be unbearable. And yes, and it makes more sense to me now knowing that that money they had for Stokes was just Stokes money. You know what I'm saying? It makes it a little bit more, or makes it make sense a little bit more to me now. You know, I wasn't aware at first that that money was just for Stokes. I thought it was basically Kentucky money and they could use it on anybody. I agree. And save some money, right? No, I definitely think he thinks that. And I really do think that I think he thinks that Kentucky's a good fit. I think he thinks Pope's offense is a good fit. Um, but I actually think Kentucky can offer him the most money as well as be the best fit for him. I think these guys are going to say things to the media, not necessarily, you know, against Kentucky or for Kentucky or whatever. I think they're just going to say the right thing. They don't want to look greedy because no matter where Momcilovic goes, he's going to get money. He's going to get paid. I would love to have, if we can't get Momcilovic, I would definitely love to have a window. Well, I think he really came on towards the end of the year a little bit too, right before, you know, right before he got hurt. Recruiting wise, I'll need to see it on the floor or on the field. Um, I've heard a lot of good things about Stein's coaching. Now I mean, he's getting the players. Now let's see if he can produce results on the field. I know what movie that's from. My favorite movie of all time. It's Honor, Respect, Loyalty. I think if it's from A Few Good Men. And it just scares me. I'm not going to lie. It just scares me. National champions, what's up? Thanks for coming by. Thanks for stopping in. Give me a like and subscribe if you don't mind. I'd appreciate your support. Yeah, but I'm talking about, you know, but we also have, you know, Kepnong, which, you know, I think Huendo would be in front of him. Yeah, they're definitely, yeah. Louisville is, yeah. I don't even know what to think about it. I really don't. I hadn't thought about that, Snake. I really hadn't, but yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Hadn't really thought about that. It's my favorite movie of all time. Oh, I don't remember seeing it when it first came out, but I bet I've seen it enough that I could recite it word for word watching it. Huge fan of A Few Good Men. Huge fan. You can't handle the truth. Son, we live in a world's got. Some went down the wrong pipe. Football top 3 SEC, top 10 nationally. Yeah, I think you're crazy. I still don't think we're top 3 SEC. We know exactly. Damn, man. They need to give you a break. I've got to get up at 6 or 7 in the morning. We've got to pick up 17 miles of trash for a fundraiser tomorrow. So I appreciate you stopping by, man. Possibly. Something down the wrong pipe. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. 12 or 28 straight days of 12-hour days. I don't think it matters, Kale. I just don't see it happening. I hope they prove me wrong, but first year of man head coach in a conference like the SEC, second toughest schedule in the country. We'll just see. Yes, they did. Oh, you're talking about in the theater, the crowd. I just thought you were talking about like people nowadays still when they, it's just still one of the more popular scenes of all time. Jack Nicholson did a hell of a job. I hope you get it, my man. I wish you the best. You asked my opinion. I hope you win. I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty highly disappointed on the expansion from 68 to 76 teams. I'll definitely buy it for you if they do that. Absolutely. I think 6-7 wins year 1, 8 year. I think, did somebody say that the over under was 4.5? If you're thinking 6-7, Snake, you better get on that. Oh, money's the driver of 95% of all decisions, maybe 100%. No bueno. Agree 100%. Yep. Bruce and Steven. No, but I think they said that it would. I think they said that it would potentially benefit the mid majors, get them more at large bids or something of that. Or I don't know. I read something, but I think it's nonsense. You want to know the truth? All they're doing is for more games equal more money. My dad convinced me at a young age that the NBA playoffs were rigged, and that there'll be a lot of 7-game series. This is because the more games you go, the more tickets that are sold, the more money they make. And this year, hell, there's been tons of 7-game series just in the first 2 rounds. Kel, I appreciate you. I appreciate your positivity, but I'm gonna have to see it to believe it. Didn't they shorten the preseason? Somebody tell me if I'm right. Didn't they shorten the preseason to maybe 3 games? Maybe took a game out of it. Yeah, it takes a game one. So, oh shit. Oh, that does sound good. Some white queso dip into the. Was it scrambled eggs? I'm an egg man. I love eggs. No, I think it's 3 preseason games. They used to play 4. Being the head coach is a whole nother animal. Stein's killed the recruiting, and he continues to get players. So we'll see if he can just put them in the right positions, and if we have the caliber of players that can still beat. We're still going to have to beat Alabama, which I know in week 2 is probably a good time to get them. But I just want to see it. I'm not saying it can't happen, but UK football is a lot like UK basketball and Cincinnati Reds baseball for me. The more I pep them up, hype them up, the more I tend to believe in them, the more I get let down. So now, Waffle House, one of my favorite restaurants. Well, we'll party hard on the Stay Hot podcast that night. Don't think we won't. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I've heard that about mayo. I've never done it, but I've heard it. Oh, yeah, I'm a little jealous of that. Big Red Machine. If you remember, Elliot, same thing kind of happened with Stoops when he first got here. That's right. We'll burn couches. And we're not talking about the scrubs tonight. Reds won by the skin of their teeth, up 6-1, and walked in 3 or 4 runs and make it a 7-6 game or something. We're not talking about the scrubs. That's right. That's right. It seems like that all the stars are aligning for Kentucky football right now. I just don't want to. I don't want to fall on my face later on, if you get what I mean. I have to drive 45 minutes to an hour for my closest Waffle House. But there's been a lot of nights at 11 o'clock or midnight I've craved it, and I've driven that hour. Don't get me wrong. I have. Shit, Will Levis likes that mayo in his coffee. Ugh. Come back and join us, Elliot. I'll probably have another show, maybe Sunday, just depending on what's going on. But come back and join us. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate your participation in the chat. If you're not a subscriber, be sure to do so. Shots of what? Oh, gosh. May make me sleep better tonight. But I may not want to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning to go pick up trash either. Try mustard on your French toast. It's, oh, Jake. Ugh. No way, Jake. No way. That doesn't even sound good. Yeah. I miss old Jared. A very underrated comment right here. Very underrated. Yeah, I did see that. Did you see the Jets schedule reveal where they were doing the colors of mixing together? I thought that was kind of cool too. I hear two dogs going at it outside. Jake, his lead wiggle where you are. Oh my gosh. Oh, mustard on French toast. Damn. I can't even, ugh. That don't even sound good, Jake. I don't even think I can even muster enough. Oh, man. I've never heard that combination. I've never in all my life. What's weird is I was on the Electronic Bay buying protein powder, and the nutrition company randomly was selling season tickets and parking passes. Now, I've heard of that, and I've also heard of people mixing mayonnaise and ketchup together. Have you heard of that? I have heard of peanut butter on pancakes. Have y'all ever heard of the old folk peanuts and Coke? Okay, I'm glad somebody's heard of that. Okay. I like Frisch's tartar sauce and fries. I've heard of peanut butter on pancakes. I've never been to Europe, Peanut. What they got any good? What's different about it there? Oh man, you still can't get Grippo's barbecue chips? You got to load up on those when you're in Kentucky. You got to load up. I agree. Definitely on burgers and dogs. I agree. One ounce carnation, throw 2 pieces of cheese and eggs and scramble them. Oh, I'm an egg connoisseur. I definitely could do that. Listen, we did that growing up, David. Bologna and Grippo sandwich. Absolutely, 100%. Carnation's milk, isn't it? Right? If that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, I like over easy, Stanley. If I had my choice, I get over easy. If I'm out at a restaurant, I get over an easy or an omelet. Sometimes at home, as I'll make scrambled eggs because my daughters like scrambled eggs, but for the most part, I like over easy. I like that All Star breakfast. If we're going to the Waffle House, I like that All Star. I think it gives you the best bang for your buck. Grilled cheese with fried bologna. Now that sounds all right. Have you ever had a fried bologna and egg sandwich? We used to have that a lot growing up, fried bologna and egg. I'm a big fan of fried bologna. Any I like Holly, do you what about how do y'all like your bacon? You like it chewy or crispy? I'm a crispy guy. I want it to shred into 1,000 pieces when I bite into it. Now I wouldn't go that far, Stanley, but I do like my Grippos. Have you all seen that in store you can buy that Grippo seasoning that comes in like the seasoning bottles? It's basically like the Grippo dust. Put that on some pork chops. Yep, fried bologna. That's right. Steve, I want it crispy. I've got a coworker that wants it chewy and Steve, if you're new here, please give me a like and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it. Peanut, you know what that made me think of, don't you? Peanut, you know what that made me think of, don't you?
That's not true. That's not true.
Chewy bacon over easy eggs. I'm with. Yep. Well, I have it at my house. I know what you're talking about. That thick deer bacon. That's right. That's what I do. Yep. That's what I do. But I use toast a lot too, not my bacon. If you had the choice, now you'll learn that breakfast is my favorite meal of the day. I'm not going to lie. I like a good breakfast. Would you rather have sausage links or sausage patties? Turkey bacon's not bad. I'm all links too. I agree. I'm a big fan of links. Kevin likes patties. All right. And I'll tell you what else I like. I know, David, but by the time I get off here, man, I'm so exhausted. I don't feel like getting out. Oh, the only other place I'll really eat breakfast at is Bob Evans. I'm a big fan of Bob Evans and Waffle House. Bob Evans gravy. That sausage gravy they got. I don't like grits, but I like oatmeal. Sorry, Snake. He says it's almost midnight and we got him in there cooking bacon and bagels. Hey, bagels with some blueberry cream cheese. Got to have that flavored cream cheese. Got to have that flavored cream cheese. Oh, Denny's. I've not been to a Denny's in a long, long time. But yeah, I used to. Moons over my hammy. I can handle Cracker Barrel too, I guess. That home style dark gravy, man. That sausage chunks in there. Gosh darn it. Yeah, a lot of good cooks make their own. This is Chopped. We might as well just start our own food network right here. We actually have a lady from where I'm from that's been on the Food Network. I actually think she was on Chopped, and she was on one of the cooking shows on the Travel Channel. Owns her own restaurant, has her own barbecue sauce. We got to have eggs in there. Oh, chocolate gravy? Yeah, I've had that too. Damn, you're all making me hungry. Did anybody go back on YouTube and watch the first hour of Redneck Brawl after we talked about it last show? Oh no, chocolate sauce, chocolate gravy. I've heard it called both, but yeah. What'd you think, Paxton? Is that not the craziest shit you've ever seen, or what? You need to follow Redneck Brawl on Facebook and watch these guys put out their promos. All their promos they send into Redneck Brawl, they're on there for free. They put them all on Facebook. It's great. Not even French fries, French toast. Was that are you talking about Crystal Hinkle, or are you talking about Doggy Style, where she just walked out of the ring and quit? She took a couple good shots to the old head, and she walked over to the ropes, walked out, and left. Oh yeah, he's great. He is great. And his dad was sitting in the front row with all those ring girls. But when they start calling that ring girl Cardi EBT, I lost it. That was the funniest thing I've ever heard. I don't know how many people I've told since I watched it about old Cardi EBT. Oh, that's Crystal Hinkle. Yeah, she got whooped. Hell, she was fighting standing up with her eyes closed. Yeah, I'd heard that. What was her name? Do you remember? I used to watch the Food Network all the time. There's been several from Kentucky, but I remember. I don't know if you've ever heard of Nate Appleman from the Food Network, big time chef out of New York. His dad lived where I lived. I do like. Not gonna lie, I like Chinese. If I had my choice, I'd go to a Chinese restaurant, then Italian, then Mexican. But I like all three. Yeah, that's stuff. I mean, I've seen people's jaw swell. I know. And that kid he was fighting, Gravedigger, I taught him in sixth grade, Paxton. Gravedigger won that first fight. That other guy just kind of was trying, I guess, to avoid punching or being hit. And I was like, man, he just got a cakewalk to $500. If you win, you get $500. Speaking of that, I had to take my daughter to get an x-ray on her ankle this morning. She had a softball accident, and we had to go get an x-ray. And the Food Network was on in the doctor's office. There is a go watch the show on Netflix, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, about Glow. Yeah, when he's standing over top of Debo. They didn't read the x-ray yet. It'll probably be Monday, but I think it's just a sprain. I told her she didn't need to go get it checked out, but she was limping around, moping around. So I thought, just for her peace of mind. Holly, won't you get in there and cook us all, invite us over, and we'll come over right now and we'll eat breakfast at midnight. They don't really give their real names. They all have got ring names. If you know her and you check her Facebook out, she'd probably have pictures up. A lot of it goes the ring girl. I think they win $1,000 maybe, and it's all by fan vote. Yeah, Cash wanted to be a wrestler for a while. He actually, I think his last year at Kentucky, he appeared in some OVW shows, but yeah, now he's actually wrestling. Yeah, he's huge. He's huge. I was at KS Bar the day he body slammed Ryan Lemon into the table. You all remember, through a table, I should say. Was you all there for that? Crash, you're not big enough to keep me out of Holly's house, I promise you. Breakfast in bed. There's a song out there that says something about breakfast in bed. I'm not talking about ham and eggs. I like it. I like it. Breakfast in bed, and I'm not talking about hams and eggs. My stomach's growling. Y'all make me hungry. If I was looking at her Facebook, my wife and I would be at the next redneck brawl. Let me go look at her Facebook then. See if I can find her. Katie Gannon. make sure I spelled it right. I see who you're talking about. Oh, yeah. She got a lot. Yeah. She got a lot of attention. She's actually a wrestler. Did you know that? She's had some work done. Let's just say that. Well, not only pro wrestling, WWE. Then it was for TNA. Now I think they're just independent. Yeah. OVW still comes to the school I graduated from and puts on a show every year for a fundraiser. Yeah. You want me to put Katie Gannon? You want me to put a picture of her up from the Redneck Brawl on the screen here? I don't, sheesh. They say she's a professional wrestler. That's the one it is, Icon. Hold on a minute. Damn. I remember looking at her, I was like, damn, she should win. Shit, yeah, she's tough. Holy shit. Number 10 is who he's talking about. Look at that. Back here in the blue, do you see back here in the blue with the white hat? That's Cardi EBT. She's the one that won. She's won 3 in a row. So if you can actually see, thanks, Kel. See you next show, brother. Thanks for coming by. I appreciate you more than you know. Yeah, she actually, I thought, was probably. You want to see a picture of her from the back and what she had on in the back? Give me a second here. If you only saw one girl in the pic, then you didn't see Cardi EBT. Holy shit. Let me show you the back. And this is from Redneck Brawl Ring Girl Contest. So this is nothing. This is from her Facebook page. So we're not doing anything illegal. This is her actually in the Ring Girl competition. They do each round. But and honestly, and I'll be honest with you, they've actually cut on the Ring Girl contest. They've actually gotten a lot more strict about what they can do and what they can't do. I remember watching the first 2 or 3 Redneck Brawls. Those girls could basically do anything to get a vote. It is. That was Boo Butt Nation. We changed it for just 30 seconds to Boo Butt Nation. But yeah, they talked about how she is a professional wrestler. Says she's a general manager of OVW. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I thought I've seen her on there. Yeah, Icon, they have really, honestly, and I think it's the commission or whatever that they whatever state they're in or whatever is kind of put a. I know Cardi EBT about got disqualified just because of just some of the moves she was doing and stuff. So yeah, They've really cut it down a lot. I mean, and honestly, that girl you just saw that I had on the screen, um, it's kind of like she was one of the more clothed. What you saw from her was one of the more clothed ring girls. So um, it's basically the way they decide the winners on crowd participation, Crash. So some of these girls would do whatever it took in the earlier redneck brawls to get a larger applause from the crowd. So basically now the way it is on redneck brawl is you have 13, 12 ring girls, and they they kind of introduce each one by one and let the crowd applause, and they narrow it down to like 5, then they narrow it down to like 3, then they pick the one with the largest crowd. um so but um but seriously, you all should consider the next time at redneck brawl watching it live. I know they put the first hour or so on YouTube, but it's usually they strategically, the matches you see in that first hour are nothing like what you see in the last 2 hours. Sorry, Crash. Family show. Family show. I went to a redneck brawl type thing near Bowling Green one time, and the ring girls looked like they were wearing. Yeah, and I still think a lot of people nowadays are. I think a lot of people are still confusing redneck brawl with what used to be the tough man contest. Um, I don't think they're the same thing. Tough man, I think you could pretty well get by with doing about anything. I think I know people that like get their arms broke and stuff. Like here, at the redneck brawl, it's basically like a boxing match. And if somebody goes to the mat or they fall, you're not allowed to hit them while they're down. You like if they turn their back, you can't hit them in the back of the head. So I mean, I told you all, if we get me up to 1,000 members, I'm entering redneck brawl. By the time I get 1,000 members, I'll probably be 104. So I'll go in there with my cane and put a hurting on somebody. I remember you telling us that. Oh, listen. Yes, you do. I'm going to get pummeled. I'm going to get pummeled. It'll be well worth the 99 cents that you pay a month. Holly, you say a lot of brilliant things, but I think you just said the most brilliant thing I've ever seen. Crash, make it happen. Me and Paycheck, mano a mano, redneck brawl. No, they knocked me out. They knocked me out. And one thing, it's funny you say that because, some of these guys that, a lot of these guys are honestly, they're amateur fighters at best. There are some who have taken training that are probably more of a boxer than, but most of them are just amateurs. And when the bell rings, they run at each other and just start throwing haymakers. Very little strategy to it whatsoever. And that's why they usually get wore out by the time the third round comes, because they're sitting there throwing 100 punches in a 1 minute round and only landing maybe 3 or 4. But it's really, I mean, it's really kind of fun. It's entertaining as hell to watch. Thing is, I was sitting here looking to see. I would show you one, but it seems like a lot of these guys, it's all been posted on here by Redneck Brawl, and I'd say it's probably copyrighted, and I don't want to. I had to go through and edit those videos last time, or they were going to kind of take down the channel and stuff, and I didn't want to mess with that. Wrestle on trampoline, great times, my. Hey. Daryl Hink, yeah, I kind of feel sorry for the man. But listen, if you go on YouTube or Facebook and you watch the first round, he took it to that dude. Randy Neese was kind of like, I think he's kind of shook a little bit. Daryl was going at him, and then just right early in that second round, Neese started coming back, and I think Daryl tried to move around him, and his leg just buckled. Yeah, his wife got that. His wife went on Facebook afterwards and did a live video, basically saying that she got cheated. The other girl hit her in the back of the head, and she got and which was totally wrong. She just got humiliated, and then it was funny because they she said, if I beat you, I'm taking your husband, and she's like, if you beat me, you can have my husband. So poor Daryl lost all the way around. I agree, but I think Daryl may have beat Hinkle, or I mean, Daryl may have beat Randy Neese if it wouldn't have got called. I'll watch it. And I get it. I do feel like Lance can be negative at times, and but I want to support everybody. I wish he would support me a little bit more, as far as he won't even follow me on Twitter, won't even reply to messages, and but I mean, I do like the show. Wonder, Crash, why is it you think he doesn't do live? Why does he just do like recording videos? Actually, he's got it playing right now. Shockwave, Kentucky Wildcats emerge. Momcilovic chooses between NBA millions and NCAA return. No, he doesn't follow me with Lance either, because I followed him. Okay, maybe I just have missed him. Okay. But it seems like most of these I've seen of his have all been like recorded videos. I'm just curious if he ever interacts with chat or answer questions from people, or maybe I'm just missing it then. Yeah, okay. His last live was 6 days ago. Okay. Well, I can tell you this, something about him. He don't have the stay hot stamina. He does 20-minute lives. He needs to get on here for 4 hours. You know what I'm saying? Well, I will say this. If your show specifically one topic, like Locked on Kentucky is, it'd be tough to come up with content daily. it would be tough to come up with a daily show or have content for a daily show. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, something about him keeps me. Something about his show keeps me entertained. Like I stay on there and watch it. I don't just get on for 5 or 10 minutes and then log off. I usually tend to watch it. Um, no, I mean I think he's a UK fan. I mean, I think that's sometimes what leads to, and that's what I've said about, you all maybe have not seen that side of me yet because we haven't seen any games there yet. But there's going to be, I mean, I think when you're truly a fan, that's why you see frustration sometimes. I don't think I realized he lived in Alabama though. But yeah, I definitely think he's a UK fan, and um, there'll be people that'll eventually get frustrated with me because once the season starts and we got games to base it off of, then I'm going to be frustrated a lot. Mm, maybe so, but going back to if it's your own channel, you can pretty well say show um, behave the way you want. If you're performing a show on somebody else's channel or somebody else's network, then you're kind of at their disposal as far as what they want you to do or how they want you to act or what they want from you. Um, I think I don't know him well enough to judge, but I guess we'll see more once the season starts. Because I mean, right now it's been easy to be frustrated because if you follow or latch on to what a lot of the national media put out there, it's been all doom and gloom all off season. Nobody wants to give us credit for the roster we have when I think we've actually got a pretty nice roster. I'm actually kind of excited about the roster. Um, do I think it's national championship worthy? Probably not. Um, outside chance at a Final Four, maybe. Definitely, I think we can definitely make an Elite Eight. Um, but all that'll depend on the regular season and kind of where we get. With 76 teams, and it's just crazy. Mike Neighbors, or is it? That's not his name, is it? Mike Neighbors. I know Mike Neighbors if that's who does the Arkansas one. Yeah, I did see where he kind of alluded to the fact that the staff held him back and right, but they're also I think some of that is blame that on the media to put a kid in that situation to where he has to answer some of those questions to where um but here's the thing. I don't think it was the staff's decision for him not to play. I think that ultimately came down to him and his camp. Yeah. And I think I mean, I can see that. But see, that's why I think, like, that's why I think, like, with KSR, that, only reason people are jumping on them is because they have the platform, they have the audience, they have, they've built that into, like, the Taj Mahal of local media. And but the thing too is, what I believe is, they're fans first. And that's why you see Matt Jones and Drew Franklin and Ryan Lemon get totally frustrated and upset with things going at the program, is because they're fans. And I believe that. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. I would say to that, I hope you're right, Peanut, but I do not agree. But I hope you're right. Not blaming JQ, I'm blaming the system. One, Kentucky recruited him and paid him $3 to $4 million a year, coming off an ACL injury. There's got to be something in place to where if these kids don't play a certain amount of games, then they should have to pay back a certain percentage or something. I mean, and I don't even know how all that works out, because I think that would be a nightmare, definitely a hassle. But um, most of that falls on Kentucky, I would say, than JQ. If you go back and look, Icon, they put 100% crystal balls to a lot of schools. 20. I'm not going to put any stock in what 24/7 does. Definitely a Final Four caliber team with both. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay. I like the way you think. That's right. Sleepers video on Jake. I've seen that video's out there on more than one place. I seriously think that Kentucky's season was going so bad that I really think his camp or his crew probably told him to sit out. Your knee swelling, sit out. Don't want to hurt your draft stock. Who, me? Hell no. I like the way you think. What's up, Chainsaw? Thanks for coming back, man. Glad you're here. I think it's been kind of apparent. That's the first time we've ever heard anything from Mommy, was the interview today. And I thought it seemed very positive for Kentucky. I had multiple people DM me as soon as they heard it. Donkfish is one of them. He must be playing cards tonight. It's Friday night. He's not here. He'll go back and watch and comment later. But just asking, about the chasing the money comment and the fit. And I've said this earlier, and I'm going to say it again. I really, truly think that Kentucky's a place where not only can he get the best offer, but he also can get a good fit. I'm not so sure he can get both everywhere. Yeah, definitely a very because I think the thing was good. For me, I should say, I can't speak for everybody, but for me, it seemed like every time I thought, I shouldn't say about to, every time I thought we were about to turn the corner, we get blown out again. Like something strange would totally happen that was just uncharacteristic of the previous 2 or 3 games that made me think that we were about to take that turn. The more negativity a team gets will be more the reward if you can improve. And I think, and I'm going back to what, I really like this quote here this is Ryan Hampton, 5-star freshman. This is his dad's quote. I think if you're talking about like this season, Crash was the most disappointing he's seen since, which, maybe for him, it wasn't for me, Billy Clyde Gillespie, but I wasn't around for. It ain't time to log off yet. We're just getting started, Crash. Right. Right. I thought there were multiple times. But, the comment on the screen, if you haven't seen it, is from Ryan Hampton's dad. He says, I think Kentucky, and it may sound crazy, is underrated. If you look at their team last year, everybody was hurt. Pope knows what he's doing. I like the resurgence of Kentucky. I like it, Hampton said. We'll just have to see. They got to pick from a portal a lot this year. Once the dust settles, he can insert a few freshmen. You're not going to have a team with 5 freshmen, but give me 2 juniors, a senior, 1 sophomore, and a freshman. They're going to compete, especially with the freshmen who can contribute. Obviously talking about his son, but I think it was nice to see a quote like that from a parent when a lot of things have been so negative. Possibly that could be scary if he is, but I kind of like that quote from him. Here's the second half of that quote, Peanut, if you haven't seen it. I'll put it up on the screen. He says, if money is going to be a factor, which school is offering him the most money? KSR Plus asked Hampton. Among the schools involved, which one has the highest NIL offer? Think about it, Rod said. If he doesn't watch this show, he should. His son is coming to Kentucky. I'm not saying that. There's been a lot of kids who thought Kentucky was their dream school that they wanted to go to, and we didn't seem to land them. So I'm going to be a little bit less, not that I'm less certain. Kentucky and Coach Mark Pope just offered DeMarcus Henry. He's a 6'8", 200-pound guard in the class of 27 from AZ Campus Prep School. He plays for Vegas Elite EYBL 5-star. Just that happened tonight that he got an offer from Kentucky. That was Ryan Hampton, 5-star guard. His brother is RJ Hampton of Duke that plays in the league now. Or wasn't it RJ Hampton? No, I'm thinking of RJ Barrett. He's got a brother. Did we give Peanut the? It was KSR Plus. I didn't figure I needed to let Peanut know that. Kentucky is they still move the needle to me. That's why everybody puts out all these articles, like Goodman putting out articles about how Kentucky's not even in the hunt for mommy. Cutler is not afraid to say what he believes. I'm not saying I always agree with old Cutler, but he's not afraid to speak his mind. Okay. I thought it was RJ Hampton. I thought so. Then I started sounding like, no, I'm getting confused. If everybody's healthy and we get those two and we don't compete, yeah. I don't think there's any reason for us to justify Pope coming back or support him coming back if he has that kind of roster and don't know what kind of power he has, but he definitely ain't afraid to speak his mind, is what I'm saying. Yeah, Holly, I agree. I mean, the roster he currently has Okay. Plus, you add those two who could both be All-Americans next year. And if we don't compete, and I don't know what you mean by not competing. Do you mean not competing as in not making a Final Four, as in getting blown out? I mean, even with those two back, I think we're in a time period or an era of college basketball that you can't sit there and say a Final Four is guaranteed. Although I think we'll have one of the best rosters, we won't be able to say that the Final Four is guaranteed. Sub 20, yeah. Oh, I'll take that. With that roster, sub 20 wins, valid. Although, I think with the roster we have right now, if we play in the SEC with that roster, then yeah, change needs to happen. I could get behind that. I might be a little against 10 plus losses just because the SEC is so good. And Tuesday night at Texas A&M or at Ole Miss or Mississippi State, those games are tough, whether you got the best team or not. But I understand what you're saying. You know, Tubby got 10 lost Tubby, if you know what I mean. I mean, damn it. I hope that ain't my alarm. I feel like somebody's trying. I don't know. I feel like somebody's car alarm's going. Cal had 10 plus losses back to back, and Cal's last 5 years weren't good. I mean, if they're towing my car, David, from inside my driveway, then you're going to see me fight before Redneck Brawl. Oh yeah, I mean that year in 2014, I don't necessarily know if we were a Final Four team. We were an 8 seed that upset an undefeated Wichita State in the second round. For getting over there to UConn, losing to them in the finals. Then you talk about Florida Atlantic as well as San Diego State. Both of them made a Final Four. I just feel like with the NIL era now, you can have the best team in the country and still have it tough to reach the Final Four. And honestly, Snake, there's some people out there that think, regardless of our roster, just because we're Kentucky, regardless of the roster or the names on the roster, that if we don't go to the Final Four, it's a bust. And I just think that's ridiculous. I was a Tubby fan, Peanut, but I think it was definitely time for him to go. I don't think Tubby's coaching anymore. I think his last coaching job, he was at High Point. He brought him back to Kentucky, and Kentucky retired Tubby's jersey. I've got camera on my porch, but because we had people coming up and knocking on our door real late at night, banging on the glass and stuff, so I put up a camera, and seems like the word got around that I put a camera up because I haven't had it happen since. But Right. And I just think, and if you look at the non-conference schedule, Kentucky, one thing with Pope, he does play a pretty tough non-conference schedule. So, I think 10 losses, if we have less than 10 losses, I mean, we had a pretty good year. I don't think 10 losses, or the number 10 is not a good threshold to judge by. Right. I mean, I think that's always going to go without saying, the who we lose to, a home loss to Duke is a lot different than a home loss to Youngstown State or whatever. We have fans who love Pope but complain we didn't win 5 titles with Cal and all NBA guys, and it's like we went to 4 Final Fours and won a title. Right. Definitely feel like the criticism isn't always fair. I have some webcams, but that's for activities unrelated to Kentucky basketball. Have to maybe you ought to live stream them. And not only the players coming back, Shane, they're going overseas and getting kids who have played professionally since 15 years of age. I think the healthy point guard's the key. I really, truly think guards win in March. We got to be healthy at the guard position. I'll be honest with you. It's just like when you have one of those cameras though, and you have notifications on them when they, active or their motion sensor, and you get all these notifications sent to your phone throughout the day. It's just like, ugh. But if you turn all, I mean, I usually turn my notifications off because I'm tired of hearing them, but well, he was telling us you did, Holly. That Florida team was tough. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say forced, but we had to play Aberdeen at the point a lot, and I'm not so sure that was in our best interest. The comment about the webcams used for something other than Kentucky basketball kind of said it for him, didn't it, Holly? He didn't have to say anything else. It was already said for him. And the in this BBN Hall of Fame group chat I'm in, just some of the nonsense that you see. There's a guy in here that says Pope should redshirt Noah so he gets 2 years or whatever school he decides to go to. First Pope year UK played team ball, passing, setting picks, back screens. Year 2 looked like hell. Nobody jailed. Pete Pope needs this team. I agree with that 100%. I really liked his offense the first year. Anytime you dribbled towards somebody, there was a backdoor cut, a lot of handoffs going. You know, it's almost like that Gonzaga continuity action. If any of you all watch, you know, if any of you coach or watch sets that are being discussed, go look up the Gonzaga continuity. It's more like a continuity offense, but it's got a lot of zoom action. Like you dribble towards a guy, they go back door from the wing, then the corner person comes and take a handoff, almost like a pick and roll out of the handoff. It's a lot of zoom action. It's good stuff. It's kind of like what Pope ran his first year, but he also ran like a 5-game series where he brought Amari Williams out to the top of the key and ran the offense to the 5, which I thought was genius because I thought Amari handled that position well. Now, did he take a lot of heat for some of his turnovers? Absolutely. But he was a 5-man, and I thought he passed the ball extremely well for a 5-man. Turnovers are going to happen. A lot of truth to that. I don't think he's getting playing time, Chainsaw. I really don't. He can shoot, but I'm not so sure that we've seen signs of it in games. He missed a lot of open threes last year, and I think our roster this year is a bit more talented, better, however you want to say that. But also, I think our roster is way more athletic, and we have a lot of size. See, he was one of our better rebounders last year and very undersized. I mean, we got 6'10", 6'11" guys out the wazoo. Oh, that's your comment to Williams saying that Pope's first year. Yeah, but I think that's what we have this year, Icon. A lot of these guys that we're recruiting this year, we've got to commit this year, are the same ones that are like 24, 25-year-old guys that are veterans. You know, I think that our roster in year 3 resembles a lot of year 1's roster. Right. And I mean, I can see where that can make a little bit of a difference, but still, there were multiple games he got some open looks and just didn't hit them. But I like Noah. What I like about Noah the best is that he's from Kentucky. He takes pride in wearing the blue and white. He truly wants to be there. But I will also tell you that, you know, this day and age, you know, just because you're from the state of Kentucky shouldn't guarantee you minutes, nor does it guarantee wins. But I do like him, and I just don't see him being in the rotation. Frumpy white guys. What about pasty? Who was that? Who's that real good guard for Iowa? Sturtz? Is that right? Stirtz or something? Sturtz? Bennett Sturtz or something? I guess it's possible. Yeah, Bennett. I saw where he's gonna get drafted. I think he's a first round pick. Yeah, but I know it is hard to come off the bench and be expected to hit threes. But man, these guys are so good, though. I mean, you got to stay mentally ready, and you got to stay. A lot of people. Depends on who you have starting, Chainsaw. Well, Williams and Hawthorne, not both are going to start, so one of them comes off the bench. Usman or Njai, or McBride. I'm hearing McBride's going to start and Njai off the bench. I don't know if that's true. Then you got the big center. Kepnong. He's probably gonna be 9th or 10th man. If I don't know, I guess it depends on who we round out with, but I honestly just if he's got to play a lot of minutes, I think we're in trouble. Same thing with Reese Potter. And I think Reese can give us a few minutes. I think Noah can give us a few minutes. I just don't know if he'll be in the rotation where he gets consistent minutes. There were games last year, especially to the start of the game or start of the third quarter. Sometimes it just felt like we were out there going through the motions. And, at that level, if you're out there just going through the motions, then you're whipped. Yeah, you might want to. I agree with this. Well, and just, when you got 6 super seniors and a regular senior, those are 7 guys that have all played a lot of college basketball games that know and understand how important it is to work or all right, man. Take care. And truth be told, I don't know. Oh my gosh, a brown recluse. Get rid of that thing. Mm-mm. I don't play with them. Well, shoot, yeah. You know what? I gotta pick up 17 miles of trash today in about 9 hours for my basketball team. We get paid $100 a mile if we pick up trash. Um, so that's what my Saturday is going to consist of, and then I'm hoping maybe once we get done picking up trash, I can come home and get me a little nap in. I don't know if I am. Wilkins can score. Of course, Cam Williams can score. Hawthorne's probably going to score a little bit. Zoom can get his, then if we get Malachi back, I don't know if scoring is something I'm concerned about. No, I didn't. Chainsaw, I think if I were you, I'd be more worried about rebounding and defense. I thought our defense was bad last year, and I'm not so sure our defense was great in year one under Pope. So I'm not so sure Pope's had a really good defensive team yet. And there may be some games we have to win just because we outscore them. I heard that if they bite you, like your skin just starts ripping away from the bone. Like it's just nasty. Yeah, we weren't the best passing team either, but anytime the ball got in Aberdeen and Oway's hands, there weren't a lot of passes anyhow. So I think there's definitely going to be some things. There's definitely going to be some growing pains. There's going to be games I start a live after a game and we get all on here. There's going to be a lot of things for us to gripe about, even after a win, or some red flags that concern us. That's going to happen. But hopefully, they're all things that are fixable or correctable to where we can get them corrected before it's too late. Man, brown recluses are nasty. I don't know if I've ever seen one. Or if I did, I didn't really know. Here's what I've always been told they look like, a bite. Look at that finger. Like your skin just starts ripping away from your bone. That's just nasty. Ugh. Brr. That was after 10 days. What made you decide to start a podcast? To believe this or not, Stanley, I've done it for 3 years. But I started out doing just high school basketball in our area. In Kentucky, we're in the 10th region. So I did 10th region, but I just had it on Apple and Spotify, and I just did basically just audio. And it was such a hard job to upload it to Spotify, Apple. Apple, you know, wasn't cheap. So after the first year I did it, I was getting anywhere between probably 225 to 350 listeners. And I did it just on Sunday nights. I just did once a week. I basically recapped the week and did kind of a look ahead to the next week. And well, then the second year, I kind of took the year off. I'm like, you know what? This is just, I'm spending my Sunday nights, recording the show. Then I would have to edit the show if I needed to edit things out. And it was like a 4 or 5 hour process. And I'm like, this ain't worth it. I'm a coach, I'm a dad. So I just took that year off. Well, then this year, me and a buddy, he actually works for Link NKY out of Northern Kentucky. It covers Boone, Kenton, and Campbell counties, 3 of the larger counties. And so me and him did it through the YouTube show. And we actually had some shows 500-600 views. We were bring on high school coaches as guests, interview them online or whatever like this or whatever. And then once they got over, I'm like, well, I'm kind of bored. I don't have anything to do. So I thought, well, I'm going to start one on, and I think I did a show first on, I think I did a couple of shows on the Reds, and they just didn't take off. Like, I just didn't have anybody, like the Reds community, I guess I couldn't get online to watch. I don't know. But we have an area in here we have a pretty well a local media around here called Chatterbox Sports. I don't know if you're all familiar with Chatterbox Sports, but they do a lot of good stuff with Reds and Bengals and anything Cincinnati. And they just have a lot of stuff on the market, and I couldn't really get anybody. So then I thought, well, you know what? The transfer portal is getting ready to hit hot and heavy. I'll just wait for that and I'll start Kentucky. Well, it just seemed like a lot more people had more interest in Kentucky than what the Reds had. So I just stuck with Kentucky, and, I'll probably do some Bengal stuff. I'll do some Kentucky football stuff. And, we've got a pretty good community in here now. So, I mean, I'll do about anything. I just like talking sports with you all. I don't really care what the topic is, but hey, Roger, if you're first time here, give me a like and subscribe, my man. Thanks for coming by. Hope you stay around, interact with us in the chat. Come back the next time. We got a pretty good group here. I wouldn't change our community for anything. All seem to be pretty positive for the most part. Oh, gosh. Damn. Holly, you say you like that guy. Yeah, I've heard peppermint oil, and I've also heard you mix peppermint oil with something. Can't remember what it was. Is it vinegar? Oh, I don't know. Peppermint oil with something helps keep them away too. Yep, it sure is. But Kenton is also in Kenton County. Kenton County has 3 high schools that are in 3 different regions. Simon Kenton's in the 8th region. they have a school in the 9th region, and then we have Scott High that's in the 10th region. So they have, you know, 3 different high schools that are in 3 different regions in the state. So it's crazy. I don't really write much down as far as in my there's a section on StreamYard, and StreamYard's the software that I'm using to stream this. But there's a notes section that only I can see, and I write down, for example, I write down kind of like an outline. You know, for example, always start with a welcome. Then I talked about Marquise Estel. He's joining the coaching staff at Douglas. Then I put Ortega Owe because his 5-on-5 play this week, I think, improved his draft stock. Then we talked about Moreno and Momcilovic, and I basically just write an outline. I don't really write down word for word what I'm going to say. A lot of the stuff I say is based on how you all comment. So, but yeah, you got to give it a shot, man. It's fun. If you can get a good fan base and loyal supporters that come in and talk with you every time you're on, then, you know, it makes it worth it. That's interesting. We could do jersey numbers. 1A state championship in Kentucky in 93. Boys or girls? Are you talking about football or basketball? I think Braden goes to 2. Mommy takes. I would definitely make sure 22 was available, unless Mommy said he wanted a different number. Oh, no, you'd be fine. I promise you. You know, you see me, I have some moments. You know, I've told you all that, you know, I had my mini stroke back in October. I still have moments where I'm talking and my mind goes blank and I have to sit there and look, or I have to stop and, you know, think a minute. You know, when you're doing it live, you can expect some of that stuff. It's just going to happen. 93. Hold on here a minute. Class A state championship basketball boys. I'm thinking, all right. I know Nicholas County girls were 92. Boys basketball, Class A. Was it like Lexington Catholic? Hazard? Trying to check Twitter to see if there's anything going on there tonight that we. Oh, I thought. Oh man, I thought they would have closed before that. Was that their last year? It'd be funny if his last name on his jersey, whatever number he chose in his last name, was just however many dollar signs. He was 11 at high school too, I think. At GRC, Morton was. Yeah, I'm beginning to think Hazard may have won it 98-ish range, maybe. I thought 93 was Lexington Catholic with like Sean Green, Money Chilovich. That's funny. Morton could be 11 at Kentucky, right? Nobody had 11 last year, did they? I know Travis Perry wore it, but did anybody wear it last year? Frank. Yeah, I agree. He big guy. He had to wear like Rob Locke 55 or 50. Hell, wear 77 or something now. You can wear those crazy numbers like Kerr Creasa. Wear 99. I coach girls. I mean, I would be open for something like that. Ball handling is one area that we all need to improve on. And we have a young group that needs some ball handling. Um, Definitely reach out. I'm trying to think. I know somebody. Was there a for Dills Combs? Was there a Kavanaugh Trent or something like that? That name's sticking out in my mind. Trent something. Trent, was it Trent Kavanaugh or Kavanaugh Trent? The Rock. Look up Pat the Rock. Did he comment Peanut? Is a chainsaw is Pat the Rock? Is he on Facebook, Twitter, what? Oh, I know Heston Beverly. I was at Moorhead when Heston was there. Is that who Pat the Rock is? He was a lefty, southpaw. Shoo. He had some family members that could play too. Braxton Beverly, was that his nephew? Man, see, these players got to start responding to us a little bit more. I can't even get them. I can't even get people to reply to me about coming on the show. We're gonna have to figure something out. I need to get some guests. Makes it a little bit easier. Yeah, I know Braxton. That's funny. Shit, I don't know if I could afford to pay their gas from Pike County or wherever that's at. Damn, this Pat the Rock that I'm looking at is from Maryland. Surely that's not the same one, is it? I definitely ain't paying him to come from Maryland. All right, well, I'll give it a look. Depends on how much my boosters are willing to pay. They're the ones that have to decide if they're willing to pay for that. Y'all just need to remember that June 15th, 16th, 17th, I'll be at Transylvania. So if there's anybody in the Lexington area, when games are over, see if we can go get something to eat or something. Does Heston have any kids that play? Heston played at Moorhead until Macy got there. I think Macy cut him with Kyle Sherman, who was from Mason County, because Kyle was in my anatomy class. Oh, I know Heston. Whew, good ball. Let's see any. I'm still a little upset about the Fever getting beat, man. Caitlin Clark turned it on in the fourth quarter and then didn't get the ball in overtime. She's going to have 30 plus points, 10 plus assists tonight is what she had. Seems like every college coach in the country. She played well. She made a couple big shots. Scrappy, played well. Seems like every big high major college coach was in Memphis tonight. I know Kentucky was either they've not offered Deuce McDuffie yet, or they're thinking about offering Deuce McDuffie. I read today he hit a and one to seal the game, and a deep three, basically a 4-point play. So he plays for Team Hero, I think. So hopefully somebody else they can be on. It's a good question. I'll look him up here in a second. I can get down with that. Wayne Turner. What is old Burner Turner doing? He's a retired American professional basketball player. He's the men's basketball coach for. Whoa, hold on. This can't be. It says Louisville. That was a long time ago, right? That's not accurate. Director of player development. That's not accurate. I thought he was coaching now, but the last thing it has him here coaching is. I know he was at Louisville when. Was it when Kenny was there? What do you mean I'm going wild tonight? He's the head coach for the Scott County girls basketball team. Hold up. I got to look. If that's because they just fired their coach because I played them twice last year. I beat him twice, and I might have to get him on the schedule and let him know I'm in the 10th Region Hall of Fame as a coach. You might want to let him know. Shit, man, I am going wild. It's 3 hours in, and you should have been here a while ago when I was showing the ring girls from Redneck Brawl. Sean Woods was at he was the Scott County Boys, right? Yeah, well, I'm not gonna be able to see the Scott County girls yet because the new schedules ain't loaded yet. But yeah, Sean Woods, yeah, he had trouble again with inappropriate texting or something. I think it was just texting with students. Cameron Mills still work. I mean, he does a lot of calling of games and stuff with I think he does some radio broadcasting and things like that with the university. If I'm not mistaken. Who? Yeah, Cameron does the pregame. That's right. Correct. Yeah, he did a lot of stuff for Fellowship of Christian Athletes. I bet Cameron's probably spoke at half the schools in the state or more. He does a couple podcasts. I'll check him out. Well, when he's an adult and they're underage, that's against the law, Crash. They were students of. So you think it's okay for a 40-some-year-old man to be texting underage girls inappropriately? Just curious. When Sean Woods was the coach at Scott County, that's what I heard. It was sexually harassing students and staff. Yeah, when Sean Woods was the coach at Scott County Boys this past year. It's recent. Go type it into WKYT. Let me see if I can find the article. I think it was under investigation. I don't know if it said anything about jail time or whatever, but let me see if I can find something. Says Sean Woods is the former head boys basketball coach and teacher at Scott County High School. He was placed on paid leave following an investigation into inappropriate sexual discussions, harassment, and child abuse allegations. The school district stated he will not return for the 26-27 school year. State records and investigations indicate Woods engaged in inappropriate one-on-one conversations, extremely explicit sexual communication, and unprofessional conduct with students. Investigation findings. While an initial internal investigation by the Scott County School District in December deemed the claims unsubstantiated, a subsequent state probe by the Cabinet for Health and Family Services substantiated the allegations of abuse and neglect. The Scott County Sheriff's Office noted no evidence of criminal behavior, though the investigation was left open. Woods remains on paid leave and his contract is being non-renewed. So basically, he's getting paid for not to work. So this just happened. So basically, this article was written on April 14th of 26, so just a month ago. New records reveal serious concerns inside Scott County Schools about its suspended basketball coach, while he continues to be paid more than $60,000 a year on administrative leave. $60,000 a year. On December 12th, when WKYT received a tip about sexual misconduct allegations of former University of Kentucky basketball player and Scott County coach Sean Woods, the district told WKYT the claims were unsubstantiated and no students corroborated them. In records obtained by WKYT, Superintendent Billy Parker sent a group message to school board and members saying it would be irresponsible for the station to air the allegations publicly. Now, months later, the same coach is suspended with pay after two mothers received notice from state investigators that found their daughter's claims substantiated. I don't know if they were over 18, were they? Where does it say that? These aren't rumors. These are the school system's records, Samantha Eddington said. Like, what they told me to my face does not match their own records. It wasn't just students raising concerns. Staff members also filed written complaints. One email describing an incident in October says a conversation in Woods' classroom became uncomfortable due to inappropriate comments. Yes, this is true, but I want to know, where does it say they were 18? I've not seen that in any article or anything. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I missed that. But I thought it was, I got you now. Yeah, it just, I mean, it just, I mean, and now it seems like every day you turn on the news, you're seeing something else, you know, male teacher, female teacher, just inappropriate relationships with, students. It's kind of sick and disgusting that, you know, well, we had a girls coach in Kentucky from Collins High School, same type thing this year. I think he'd even either won a state tournament or took his team to the state tournament from Collins. So if you're down around from the Collins area, it's probably a situation that you find familiar. Well, I'd say a lot of the times, a lot of these people that are, you know, they all seem likable. That's why that it happens, probably because when they are likable with a good personality and kind of got a charm to them, it's easy to get people roped in or easy to get kids. It's just a bad situation, but it's more and more, it's happening more and more with teachers and students. And no, I'm sorry, it was the boys basketball coach from Collins, Chris Gaither. very good basketball coach, but I think something happened with yeah, it was more of a grooming situation, I think, about where he was asking high school girls like babysit his kids type thing, and when his what? Hold on a minute, I'll look at this article and see. Shelby County Public Schools confirmed to Wave News the Martha Lane Collins High School boys basketball coach Chris Gaither has been terminated. This all started after a former Collins student came forward on Facebook with allegations of grooming against the boys basketball coach. Gaither was suspended last year for the second time this basketball season amid the allegations of sexual misconduct and inappropriate communications with a former student. A former manager of the boys basketball team during her junior and senior year at Martha Lane Collins said in a letter, and this letter was posted that's probably 100% it. It's probably being reported more. Very good point, Crash. But she actually posted this letter, and if you go to WKYT and you type in, you can find the letter. But she wrote a letter delivered to Shelby County Public Schools that she received messages from Gaither from fall 2012 through her graduation in May of 2014 that she can confidently say were outside what would be exchanged with the teacher/coach. The letter continues to detail numerous times when she felt uncomfortable with the interaction she had with Gaither. The letter also said that in June 2014, 2 weeks after Weddle had graduated, and while Gaither's wife was on a mission trip to Honduras, the longtime Collins basketball coach kissed her as she was leaving his home after babysitting his children. The next day, he invited her to his house, and she, saying she expected him to explain what happened the night before, went over to talk to him. She said that the night he invited her into his bedroom and initiated physical contact that led to sex. Shelby County Schools spokesperson Joshua Rhodes released the following statement, and it's just a statement about it, but oh, that's awful, Holly. That is awful. But like I said, seems like every day in the news now you're seeing something more and more happen. It definitely makes, I've got a daughter that's getting ready to be a freshman in high school. It definitely puts things in perspective. I kind of agree with what I think, somebody said on there earlier. Any female that looks under the age of 30, you kind of treat as a kid, because this day and age, you just never know. But it seems like it's happening more and more, and not just in the state of Kentucky. I mean, it's a little bit of everywhere, but yeah, I've got a daughter. It's she'll be 22 in August, and I've got another one that's 18. So I mean, I can totally relate to what you're saying. It just she, she she was the governor. You are correct. All right. Let me see if there's anything else going on before we call it a night. It's 3.5 hours. It's almost 1 o'clock. I've got to get up early and pick up trash. Then hopefully, Jack Pilgrim, if you're if you pay for the membership to KSR or On3, whatever it is now, KSR's top takeaways from day one at the Nike EYBL Live period. Mo Williams makes a public debut as a Wildcat. Two standout guards separate themselves. Uncertainty at the top. J.J. Crawford, and UK has choices to make. So, it seems like, from what I'm gathering, is Mark Pope and Mikhail McLean are kind of going, or not Mikhail McLean, Mo Williams are kind of going around from court to court, watching, and then Cody Figures watching somebody different. Cody was watching Cameron Mercer, 2028 5-star, who has already visited Kentucky twice. Princeton High School at Ohio. I think he may have been the first athlete in Ohio to receive NIL. 6'5.5", 6'11" wingspan point guard. 6'5.5" with a 6'11" wingspan running your point. He's already won the Peach Jam. He just received an offer from Memphis today. My uncle actually taught at Princeton, Ohio, when Eric Daniels was there. You know who else went to Princeton? What other celebrity? Tell me this ain't a name from the past. How many of y'all ever heard this? Carmen Electra went to Princeton High School. Her real name was Tara Patrick. Man, this is... singled out. Tara Patrick, any relation to who? My first name's Patrick. That's her last name. Yeah, she was a smoke show. I agree. I agree. But no, Crash, no relation. The 90s. Hey, remember when MTV was it? All those crazy shows on MTV. Absolutely crazy. Sports Center Next just tweeted that J.J. Crawford caught fire in front of Kentucky's Mark Pope and Mo Williams. And after he makes a ridiculous play, the camera kind of cuts over to Pope, and he's got one of those little smirks on his face, kind of like the same smirk that he had when he dropped the mic in that second video. And J.J. Crawford looks good. Right. They did. I don't know what you're saying really, too, but I'm with you. Oh, Beavis and Butthead. I think everybody had that poster. I know exactly what poster you're talking about, the Cindy Crawford. Kids nowadays never heard of Cindy Crawford. Hey, I'll tell you guys. I'll put it sometime this weekend. I'm going to leave it in here to kind of remind you. But sometime this weekend, go to Netflix and watch The Roast of Kevin Hart. Pretty good stuff. Video killed the radio star. Isn't that a song? Yeah, I've seen the Farrah Fawcett poster. No, there's a Cindy Crawford poster. If I'm not mistaken. Let me see if I can find the one I'm thinking of. I got a visual of it. Go watch the whole roast. It's good. No, Stanley, I did not know that. All right, let me see. Here's the one I'm talking about. I'm not 100% sure this is the one he's talking about. But this one right here. Over here on the far right, the one that's larger. That's the Cindy Crawford poster I was talking about. There was a lot of good shows. Hey Arnold, a big Hey Arnold fan. Do y'all remember? Did y'all used to watch Cartoon Network? Did y'all ever watch the Laugh Olympics? You need to watch it. It's I wouldn't watch it with kids around. It gets kind of vulgar and raunchy, but it's good for some laughs. Draymond Green. I'll look for that. Um, did y'all ever watch Cartoon Network The Laugh Olympics? I used to love that. That was some good stuff. Oh, yeah, but yeah, Cat did. Cat Williams, funny dude though. Ren and Stimpy. Ooh, yeah, I forgot. I was going to mention that. One of Kentucky's biggest villains is going to be coaching with South Carolina this year. Um, did you use to tape NT videos you like on VHS so you'll have a well back when I used to put it in and just hit record for as long as it would, and you know what I'm saying? Same thing I used to do at night with tape cassettes. Buy you a blank tape, stick it in your tape deck as you're going to sleep, you know, kind of hit record on the blank tape and record all the songs overnight. Yep, it sure was. When you said you was around for the debut, that's what it made me think of. Yeah, I was a big Letterman fan. I loved his top 10 until I taped over Kyrie. It may have been worthy of the belt, Jake. You taped over history for probably some Ren and Stimpy nonsense. I can tell you this: The Rock. Oh my gosh, he he crushed Kevin Hart too. Pretty funny dude. Of course, you know, I don't think any of those people are writing their own jokes, but there's it's still funny and entertaining. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, McGuire and Sosa that year, that was I watched baseball quite a bit then. Now I just watch the Reds. Yeah. And anything we watched growing up, we can find that episode probably on YouTube for free. Or one of my favorite shows I watched probably 10, 12 years. You'll ever watch the show Psych on um, USA? Oh, back then that they were on tape delay a lot, wasn't it? Jefferson Pilot Sports on tape delay. I remember a lot of that tape delay stuff. Oh, 12 hours ago, and I'm just now seeing this. So, um, Goodman did say, I don't know which way it goes, but I just think the smart move is going back for another year at Kentucky on a big, that's his response to a big looming decision for Moreno. So he did say something positive for Kentucky. Huh. It's rare. You know, they're starting to rank 20, 30 kids. Rush. Oh, my. Oh, liver lips. That sounds like something from the Jerky Boys. Y'all ever listen to the Jerky Boys? Yeah, that's what I was gathering he was talking about. Uh-oh. The Dayton Dragons had a bench clearing brawl down in single A tonight. Now, Married with Children. Excuse me, getting tired. Um, Married with Children and Roseanne were kind of like the two shows I felt like most families could identify with. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of those shows you watched were kind of put on. I think those were realistic of how most American families were. Jerky Boys. Fitz Rush Limbaugh, we're going to boot him. Oh, listen, I'm an expert on it, Holly. Um, I watched every. I still follow people from Massachusetts that are still doing shows on the corruption that goes on with the law enforcement in Massachusetts. I know way more about the corrupt law enforcement of Massachusetts than a Kentucky person ever should. Um, and then they're trying to do the same thing to Kelsey Fitzsimmons that they did to Karen Reed, but she got acquitted too. I watch the court channel or the court TV and law and crime channels a lot on YouTube. Do you ever follow or watch shows from like Turtle Boy? Do you know who Turtle Boy is? Aiden Carney. He was the kind of the vlogger, independent media journalist. I follow him and watch his shows every week. He does shows on like Tuesday and Sunday nights. Oh my gosh. Well, of course, Alan Jackson was my favorite just because he would just to watch him thunder away at those people is just he was just remarkable, and to know what that defense team had to go up against with the corrupt judge as well. Um, Canoni was she had relationships with the McAlberts, and I mean, just they were fighting an uphill battle, and it was like, but Bob Alessi, adding him to the team, one of the best trial lawyers in the country, and what he did to Judd Weschler on the stand about being a doctor and the CP, and that was just fascinating to watch him dog walk him right into it. Killed Welcher killed him. But it's kind of almost like now everybody in the free Karen Reed movement that was going on, they're all kind of at each other's throats now. Like they couldn't stand prosperity. A lot of jealousy taking place. Just it's ignorant. Like I said, I know way more than I should, but just the way he just, I mean, he dog walked him just. And one of Turtle Boy's openings is that, he wants to identify as the pronoun doctor, Dr. Turtle Boy, because he says if Judd Welcher's a doctor, he's a doctor. Yeah. But she doesn't really talk to Yannetti now. I don't know what the beef is. The only lawyer she talks to that group now is Alan Jackson. Her and Alan Jackson are still pretty tight. Alan joined her civil lawsuit team, although I don't think he's got a very big part in it. I just think he knows the case front and back. But I don't know what happened between Karen and Yannetti and Alessi, but like she doesn't talk to them much anymore, which is just sad to me, just because the uphill battle they had to climb, it was just crazy. But yeah, I could talk with you about the Karen Reed trial all day long. We might have to do a show just me and you on here and do the Karen Reed. I tell you who you should go follow on YouTube. Let me find her here. You talking about phenomenal. She's great. Go follow at Emily C. Or subscribe, I should say. She's doing a segment now called FOIA and Find Out, because she's got all the FOIA requests, I guess, for the trial, and she's doing a lot of stuff with that and doing a lot of shows. She's just very creative. She used to be a kindergarten teacher, and I think she has a severely autistic son, so she kind of had to stay at home with him as opposed to teach, and now she does just creative shows on the Karen Reed trial. Yeah, Amber Heard. I've watched a lot of trials. That's what I do a lot in my spare time. Yeah, I'm fascinated by the courtroom. I really am. Definitely follow the OJ trial. If the glove don't fit, you must acquit. I read a book on that trial, and the only reason he was ever found, or I guess not convicted, was because the prosecuting attorneys were having an affair. Marcia Clark and Christopher Darden. They were of course, OJ had the best lawyers. They had a Kardashian, F. Lee Bailey, Johnny Cochran. So, I mean, he definitely had a very good defense team, but that should have been an easy case, I would have thought. Hey, the loyal BBN guy has scheduled a show for May 16th, which is right now at 12:13 a.m. That was like an hour ago. And it still says upcoming, like he's not went live. Wonder if he put the wrong AM or PM. If you're talking about the Karen Reed trial, Michael Proctor was the lead detective, and it wasn't just him. There was several people in the cover up, but yeah, they planted like broken tail lights and things to try to make it look like she hit him when his autopsy and crime scene photos wasn't anything near. He had scratches and stuff on his arm like he'd been bit by a dog and stuff. And they try to pass it off like they were. He had no broken bones or no bruises, but yet they still said that he was hit by a car. And they did the math on one of the shows I watched. Like the town of Canton, Massachusetts, lost like between the two trials like millions and millions of dollars. When a lot of people are pissed because they said it should never even went to trial. Well, OJ, ID is my favorite channel, but if I'm on YouTube, it's usually Court TV or Law and Crime. Oh, I love Big Mike, but it just kind of threw me for a loop that he's got a show scheduled for 12:13 a.m. and it's 1:07 a.m. He might be waiting for me to get off so he can have all you all come over there. So we might have to do that because I'm getting tired anyhow. Let's look through all these comments. I hated to see Amber Heard drag my fellow. I know. Sweet. Appreciate you, Clyde. Really do. I don't know. I just feel like there was something also. Something seemed. Maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist, but something seemed crazy with Kato Kalin. Oh, okay. So if he's in Saudi Arabia, that's right. The time change. Okay, I got you. Maybe that's it. But yeah, he still hasn't went live yet. So maybe 113 is 12:13. Yeah. So I mean, I understand the time change now, so that makes sense. But all right, guys. Almost 4 hours again tonight. Appreciate you guys. Thank you once again for stopping by. I enjoy it each and every night. Look, let's look back for a show again on Sunday night. I got something, even if there's no news, I've already got something planned for a show. So we'll look for that. All right. Stay tuned and stay hot. Love you guys. Peace.